Chapter 104. The video that spoke the truth after the post went up. Yuanwan was lashed at by Shin Mengqi's guardians. Many familiar IDs popped up. Those few netizens who claimed that they saw what happened that evening, and were flooded by criticism, and were even called rumormongers. There was an unspoken rule in the entertainment circle that the truth wasn't important. Whoever controlled public opinion ran the world. And it was the same in this situation. This was also why Shin Mengqi dared to fabricate lies to prove her innocence. Yuanwan wasn't anxious at all, as she watched them lash out silently, sprinkling Z to empty some avoided memories. TSK, the thread starter hasn't dared to show their face. Love the winter nights. It was all made up. They just started a rumor to stir up trouble. I've encountered many people like this before. When everybody was almost done lashing out and agreed to treat the post as a rumor, Yuanwan posted a clip right as the post was about to fade away. While Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yan were fighting the night before, she had secretly recorded everything on video. Compared to Shen Mengqi's post based on hearsay, hers had video evidence. In the Qinghe's school forum, gossip about her as Qinghe's ugliest girl appeared every day, but it was never resolved as either a truth or lie. Especially since she started sitting with Xia. It was discussed almost daily. Everybody was probably tired of her. And this post by Shin Mengqi merely deepened their hatred of her. Anyway, her reputation was as black as charcoal and couldn't possibly be any darker. But Shin Mengqi was different. She was the beauty of Class A, the famous beauty of Qinghe. This goddess, who was in the hearts of many boys, was as pure and perfect like a piece of snow. To think that she actually seduced her best friend's man secretly. This gossip was much more explosive than the daily speculations about this ugly freak, whose reputation was already smeared. Revealing this piece of gossip about Shin Mengqi at this time could divert attention away from her. For people unable to clear the air about themselves, it was common practice to use explosive content to divert people's attention in the entertainment industry. After she posted the video, Yuanwan ordered some drinks and snacks, and waited patiently in her seat. After a few seconds of silence, the post which had been dying down blew up again. Lonely heart. Oh my god! What did I just see? Everyone hurry and look at this juicy gossip. Cute and handsome guy. Damn. It's actually real. The goddess was even hurt by the phone Jiang Yan smashed into her face. I am little cutie 123. What drama? Aren't Shin Mengqi and Jiang Yan really close? It's surprising to have a third party involved. Most handsome. Huh. Is this some kind of misunderstanding? A windy summer. The video clip is out. What kind of misunderstanding is there? Didn't you hear Jiang Yan saying that she even took the initiative to kiss the guy? She didn't even have the conscience to deny it. Why did she choose to go out alone with her man on Jiang Yan's birthday? Kissing and talking about being together after graduating, using all this intimate language. Dazed little cutie. The video clip speaks the truth. This is so much more exciting than the post next to it. No wonder the thread starter didn't make a sound. She was saving up for her big move. Shin Mengqi can't rebut this time. Yuanwan's post went up the ranking of popular posts very quickly, due to these netizens, and immediately overtook the popularity of the post about herself. The netizens who had been busy fighting in her post, then all moved to the post about Shin Mengqi, pleading the thread starter to release more gossip. Chapter 105. A ticking time bomb. After some time, that familiar ID appeared again. Love the winter nights. Did Shin Mengqi actually initiate the kiss or made that promise? All those words were said by Jiang Yan alone. We don't know whether it's the truth or not, right? Furthermore, even if Shin Mengqi really did it, it's no crime to like someone. Jiang Yan only had a one-sided crush on Song Zihang, and they weren't even a couple, so how could you call Shin Mengqi a third party? Yuanwan took a bite of rice, and then took her own sweet time to reply gossip porter. TSK. Even those people with a small brain would know that whatever Jiang Yan said was naturally told to her personally by Song Zihang. Whether it's the truth or not, that goes without saying. Also, Jiang Yan and Song Zihang grew up together, and were engaged since they were little. Many people in their circle knew about this. You think with Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yin Ran's good relationship, and Jiang Yin Ran telling everything to Shen Mengqi, that Shen Mengqi wouldn't know about this? Even if she didn't know about this, she would have known that Jiang Yin Ran likes Song Zihang. And she shouldn't have kept Jiang Yin Ran in the dark while being intimate with Song Zihang in private. Yes, it's no crime to like someone, but she should have openly declared that she liked him and fought with Jiang Yin Ran fair and square. I believe nobody would say anything about her then. But what's the point in playing games? Could it be that she was using the same tactics on other people? Love the winter nights. Everything that was said above was completely made up. It's just vicious slander. Request for the moderator to delete it. Gossip Porter. The clip I have speaks the truth. How is it made up? The post before was purely based on hearsay, yet Yuanwan still got so much humiliation. But what I posted was made up. Don't you think that's a bit hypocritical? I am Little Cutie 123. I feel that what the thread starter said makes sense, and the conjecture was very reasonable. Dazed Little Cutie. I support the thread starter. Love the winter nights is a bit weird. She was so enthusiastic when we were talking about Yuanwan. And when people said that the poster had no evidence, she attacked them. Yet now she's speaking up for Shen Mengqi? Anyway, if it was me, and my crush fell for my best friend, and even confessed his love to her, I would definitely not forgive her if she kept it from me, and went out on a secret date with him even after knowing that I liked that guy so much. Isn't truth the most important thing between friends? If she hid this kind of thing, I would never believe that she's not up to anything. Probably because she was guilty, Shen Mengqi's ID didn't appear anymore. She was probably thinking of ways to get someone to remove the post. Although there were still some boys speaking up for Shen Mengqi, the girls were more active since girls are usually more aggressive in forums than boys. Furthermore, girls abhorred these kinds of actions, so the majority of public opinion was on Jiang Yin Ran's side. This issue didn't beat Shen Mengqi down completely, but merely proving her innocence would keep her busy enough, so she wouldn't keep finding trouble for Yuanwan. Scrolling through the post, everyone was talking about Shen Mengqi. While her post slowly sank down, Yuanwan then returned to school. After she went back, Yuanwan didn't head to the dormitory straight away, but instead, she took a stroll around the little lake. She was unsure whether it was her imagination, but she felt a little uneasy, like something was going to happen. This issue with Xia was a ticking time bomb. It was easy to settle things with Ling Dong, but what should she do about Xia? Chapter 106. You've never loved me? Yuanwan couldn't go to Si Yihan and ask whether his nephew was trying to tease her, right? Both these relationships were intertwined. Si Yihan is Xia's ninth uncle, and if she rushed to complain hastily, wouldn't that sow discord between them? As Yuanwan was thinking about how to solve this problem, she suddenly heard an angry voice nearby. Jiang Yin Ran. I never thought you would be so scheming. Aside from plotting against Mengqi and hurting her, you actually posted those things on the school's forum to ruin her reputation. Yuanwan raised her brows. What a coincidence, Song Zihang. She saw that Song Zihang's face was in a fury, and the girl standing in front of him was pale. Both her eyes were red and her body was trembling as she explained emotionally. I've already repeated myself many times. That wasn't posted by me. Even if I did, was there anything wrong in the post? Wasn't she stealing my man? Didn't she betray our friendship? Song Zihang sneered, his eyes filled with disgust. Jiang Yin Ran. You are impossible to reason with. I don't belong to you. Neither do I have anything to do with you. The engagement was just my family's wishful thinking. I am not their puppet. I have someone I like. If it wasn't for you coming between us, I would have been together with Mengqi a long time ago. She suffered so much because she cared about your feelings. But you hurt her this way. You're the third party between us. The way he looked at her was akin to a knife stabbing through the girl's body. Jiang Yin Ran's expression was blank all of a sudden. She then looked like she was in excruciating pain and smiled bitterly. Ha! Ha ha! Song Zihang. We've known each other since we were in our mother's wombs. You've said before, said that you would marry me, would protect me, and let no one bully me. Wanted to be with me forever. But now you tell me that you don't have anything to do with me. That I'm a third party. I'm a third party. The girl's last two words were weeping blood. But the man was distant. That was all in the past when we were young. Don't bring up those childhood jokes to bother me. Jiang Yin Ran's nails dug into the palms of her hands. Bother you? I remembered them all for over a decade. I recited them for over a decade. Looked forward to them for over a decade. Yet they were all just me bothering you. Song Zihang. Do you even have a heart? Answer me. After all these years, you've never loved me? Even for a brief moment. At this moment, Song Zihang's phone beeped. He looked at the message, and his eyes became soft. But when he lifted his head and looked at Jiang Yin Ran, his entire face was filled with annoyance. He replied coldly, Jiang Yin Ran, I'll be honest with you, no. I've only treated you as a sibling. But now, you've drained the last bit of feelings I had for you. I'll give you an hour to consider deleting that post yourself. If it's not deleted after an hour, don't blame me for being heartless. Song Zihang turned and left immediately. Jiang Yin Ran's lips trembled and her eyes were red. Her tears seemed to have drained out. She stood there in a daze looking at the man's receding figure, like all the anger in her body had been wrung out. After a long time, she walked numbly step by step, towards the lake robotically. Chapter 107. You were the one who created the post? Yi Wanwan was in hiding, and had seen everything up to this point. Not good. Something's up with Jiang Yin Ran. It isn't that because of my interference, instead of allowing Jiang Yin Ran to come to her senses, she's considering suicide, right? Yi Wanwan thought that at this point in time, Jiang Yin Ran didn't have a deep affection for Song Zihang yet, and was salvageable if she came to her senses. But it looked like she was wrong. The two of them grew up together. Jiang Yin Ran's wish ever since she was little was to marry Song Zihang and become his wife. Now that her dream was dashed, it wasn't an exaggeration to say that her whole world had fallen apart. Furthermore, she was betrayed by her most trusted friend at the same time. She had personally suffered from Shin Mengqi's skills after all. Back then, she was also really close with her, and would go everywhere with her, played with her, fought together, cried and laughed with her, skipped classes with her, chased Guyuze with her, and even repeated a grade in school with her. Not only did she treat her as her best friend, she even saw her as her future sister-in-law, and treated her as family. Who knew that behind her back was a plot to ruin her? The more you care, the more upset you'll be when you find out the truth. Seeing that Jiang Yin Ran was only half a step away from the lake, Yi Wanwan pinched her nose bridge, quickly walked out of the dark and called out leisurely, Oh, look who it is. Isn't this our Miss High and Mighty Jiang Yin Ran? Being here so late at night, don't tell me you're trying to take your own life, because you got ditched. Jiang Yin Ran's back stiffened. Her initial dull and sluggish eyes suddenly glared towards Yi Wanwan fiercely. She gritted her teeth and said, Yi Wanwan, you're happy seeing me like this now, right? You're pleased, right? Yi Wanwan smirked, and with a snarkish tone she said, Of course, if you jump now that would make me even happier. Why aren't you jumping anymore? You. Jiang Yin Ran's face turned red in anger. You wish. Jiang Yin Ran took a step back after saying that. It's just Song Zihang, why would I care? With my family background, I can have any man I want. I just hate being lied to. Oh, not bad, it worked. Yi Wanwan nodded repeatedly. Right, that's right. Big Missy Jiang naturally didn't have to worry about marriage. It's his loss. Seeing that she was as aggressive as a rooster, and looked like she could fight with her for 800 rounds, she had probably given up the idea of suicide. Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief, and sat down on the grass casually, continuing to scroll through the post. Jiang Yin Ran couldn't give in to being provoked. She had been prepared to have a big fight with Yi Wanwan, but didn't expect that she would play with her phone halfway through the quarrel. She felt like she'd be punching a strawman, causing no damage no matter how hard she punched. After her emotions fluctuated wildly, she felt like all the energy in her body had been drained. She sank to the ground and hugged her knees expressionlessly. Yi Wanwan, do you hate me that much? Am I really that intolerable? Seeing that Yi Wanwan didn't respond and kept focusing on her phone, Jiang Yin Ran subconsciously looked over. In the end, when she saw that Yi Wanwan was in the midst of replying to the post, Her expression changed. In Yi Wanwan's reply box, the ID indicated Gossip Porter. You're Gossip Porter. You were the one that wrote that post about Shin Mengqi? Jiang Yanran asked in astonishment. Chapter 108. Let's team up. She initially thought that the post was created by Fang Qin, or someone else who was there and had witnessed the injustice done to her. But she didn't expect that person to be Yi Wanwan. This post that was speaking up for her, helping her right wrongs, was unexpectedly created by the one she had always seen as an enemy, Yi Wanwan? How could it be? Isn't Shin Mengqi your best friend? Why did you do this? Jiang Yanran asked in a daze. Yi Wanwan raised her brows and looked at her. Scoff best friend? She was also your best friend. But I'm not like you. So stupid that you needed someone to tell you before realizing that you were being fooled. Actually, Yi Wanwan felt quite guilty when she said these words, as she herself had also been stupid for her entire life, before her brain started working again. Jiang Yanran realized that she didn't understand the girl in front of her at all. Could it be that Yi Wanwan didn't blurt those words out accidentally, but she actually said them in front of everybody on purpose? Could it be that Shin Mengqi also double-crossed Yi Wanwan, and she found out so her attitude took a dramatic turn? The more Jiang Yanran thought about it, the more plausible it was. She even remembered how Yi Wanwan had been cast out of their group. It was when Shin Mengqi accidentally revealed that Yi Wanwan had a sugar daddy outside of school, had a chaotic private life, and even contracted a dirty disease. Thinking back, considering Shin Mengqi's character, the credibility of everything she said was questionable. Despite Jiang Yanran's shocked expression, Yi Wanwan knew that she was smart enough to understand most things. Thus, with a devious expression, she said, "Big Missy Jiang, do you want Song Ziheng to fall madly in love with you? Do you want to reveal Shin Mengqi's true colors in front of everyone and ruin her reputation? Do you want to let Song Ziheng see Shin Mengqi's true colors and regret not choosing you earlier?" Even though Jiang Yanran didn't respond, her eyes got brighter with each sentence that Yi Wanwan spoke. It was obvious that every word resonated with her heart. At the end of her speech, Yi Wanwan winked and said, "Let's team up." Jiang Yanran was stunned for a moment and looked at her hesitantly. "Team up? Why should I believe you? Why should I team up with you?" Yi Wanwan gave it a thought. "Because I'm pretty?" Jiang Yanran's expression darkened. "Because we have a common enemy, is this reason enough?" This time, Yi Wanwan replied seriously. Due to Si Yihan's restrictions, there were many things that she couldn't do. She didn't even dare to leave the school every day, so she definitely needed a partner. Jiang Yanran took a long time to make up her mind, then said, "May I ask why? Why are you going against Shin Mengqi all of a sudden?" Yi Wanwan grinned. "Coincidentally like you, because she seduced my man." "Your man?" Jiang Yanran was somewhat surprised. Probably because she didn't really believe that Yi Wanwan had a man. Or maybe Yi Wanwan was like her, and had a secret crush on a guy. All things considered, Jiang Yanran did empathize with her. So the harsh words Yi Wanwan used to provoke me just now were in fact to prevent me from taking things too hard. Although she saw Yi Wanwan differently now, she had also just been lied to, and Jiang Yanran didn't trust others easily, so she said warily, "Don't think just by casually saying a few words that I'll trust you. We're still enemies." Chapter 109. Ninth Master wants to see you. There's a really good saying. The enemy of your enemy is your friend. You should give it some thought. If you're willing, I guarantee that one day, I can make the Song Zihang, who casts you aside without a second glance, turn into someone whose eyeballs are glued to you non-stop. Of course, if you want me to delete the post, I'm fine with that too. Yi Wanwan then left, confident that her extremely convincing words could entice Jiang Yanran. Jiang Yanran stared blankly at Yi Wanwan's retreating figure. Although she didn't trust Yi Wanwan, she had to admit that the story Yi Wanwan described for her was simply too enticing. What she couldn't take lying down was that Song Ziheng actually hadn't loved her at all from beginning to end, and what she hated most were Shin Mengqi's lies and trickery. She wanted Song Ziheng to regret his decision. She wanted Shin Mengqi to pay the price. However, she didn't know what to do by herself. If she knew, She wouldn't have landed in this state today. Yuanwan, should I trust her? After speaking to Jiang Yanran, Yuanwan returned to the dormitory, removed her makeup, put on a facial mask and took a bath. She laid in bed, thinking about how to deal with that guy. Actually, there isn't much difference between Si Xia and Ling Dong, right? Maybe. As long as I express my heartfelt feelings, Si Han won't care so much? Yi Wanwan grabbed her phone while thinking. Just as she was deciding whether to give Si Han a call, her phone suddenly rang, making her jump. When she saw the incoming call display, she was even more shocked. It was Sui calling. Hello, Miss Yi? Housekeeper Su, is something wrong? Yi Wanwan asked. Miss Yi, Ninth Master wants to see you. Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat. Where is he? Jialan Bar. I'm already at your school gate. See you at the usual spot. Sui replied. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath. Got it, I'll leave now. After she hung up, Yi Wanwan didn't dare delay, and didn't have time to pack up either. She quickly changed and left. It was like that in her past life as well. No matter where she was, whenever and wherever. If Si Han wanted to see her, she had to rush over immediately. Actually, whenever Si Han wanted to see her, nothing much happened usually. Often, after she went over, he'd be busy with his things while she sat around within his line of sight. Sometimes he'd just take a glance at her, and then let her go back. It was simply baffling. Now that she thought about it, each time Si Han ordered her to come to him, his condition and mood were usually awful. It was only when she appeared in his line of sight that he would be at ease. Si Han's in a bad mood now. What could be the cause? Linking his mood to what happened that day, Yi Wanwan inexplicably had a bad feeling. Yi Wanwan got in the car with an uneasy feeling. She tried finding out from Sui who was driving. Why'd he ask me to come over all of a sudden? Did something happen? Sui was stunned by Yi Wanwan at first glance. She didn't have any makeup on and wore a very simple white dress, but was so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. She was truly a genuine beauty with flesh of ice and bones of jade, like a white lotus flower. Sui regained his senses very quickly and replied, Sorry, Miss Yi. I'm not too sure either. You know what Ninth Master is like. I'm just following orders. How's his mood today then? Yi Wanwan asked again. Sui suddenly went silent. Judging by Suyi's reaction, Yi Wanwan sighed and resigned to her fate. She already knew the answer. Chapter 110. The Broken Taboo. Half an hour later, in Jialan Bar. At the entrance of the top floor in the box reserved only for designated VIPs, Yi Wanwan paused to take a deep breath and told herself to stay calm no matter what happened. Miss Yi, please come in. Sui was about to push the door open when Yi Wanwan stopped him. Wait, don't open the door. Let me assess the situation first. After speaking, Yi Wanwan quietly pushed the door open, left a small gap, and then carefully looked inside. Behind her, Sui watched as Yi Wanwan acted all shady, and the corners of his mouth twitched uncontrollably. However, as long as she was willing to cooperate, he was already very thankful. Even after she'd done enough mental preparation, she was still frightened by the glimpse of the scene she saw from pushing open the door. There weren't many people in the box. She only recognized Lin Kei, and a few people who were probably from Si Han's circle. At that moment, Si Han was seated at the corner of the sofa, holding onto a wet tissue. He was leisurely wiping the back of his hand, which showed a visible red patch. His skin was almost torn, but he didn't seem to have the slightest intention of stopping. And his current expression was dark and cold, as if his whole being was engulfed by the dark night, without the tiniest bit of light left. A pale girl stood trembling opposite Si Han, like a criminal who was waiting for her death sentence. The girl looked very beautiful, and with her red and teary eyes, she was even more moving. However, facing such a delicate beauty, Si Han's face was still as cold as ice. Seeing such a strange situation, Yi Wanwan couldn't help but be stupefied. What's going on here? As her head was filled with confusion, she could see a slightly plump young man with his face bathed in sweat trying to mediate the situation. Ninth Master, this girl didn't do it intentionally. You're a great man. You don't have to stoop to pettiness or hold grudges for past wrongs. Didn't do it intentionally? Si Han turned his gaze and looked towards the man. That terrible and suffocatingly unbearable glance invaded the entire space. The man was so scared that his heart almost stopped beating. He hurriedly lowered his head to avoid that frightening sight as he turned to Lin Ke for help. "Young Master Lin, you see this?" Lin Ke also felt that Si Han was being too sensitive. The girl only touched him a little, yet his reaction was as if he loathed her touch to the point that he was willing to chop off his hands off and deal with the resulting bloodbath. But what else could be done? Si Han's hatred for women was common knowledge in his circle. It was their fault for breaking the taboo. Lin Ke was frustrated and glared at him. "Don't look at me. It's not as if you didn't know my ninth brother's rules. What's the meaning of calling this girl over? You were purposely looking for trouble." Thinking about it made his blood boil. Everything was his fault, and Si Han's mood was already off today. This tactless dummy just had to break Si Han's taboo and get him involved too. As if the shadow of death loomed over them, the room full of people trembled with fear. Cui Hao was so remorseful that his intestines turned green. On a small scale, it was this woman's fault alone. However, looking at the big picture, the entire Cui family was responsible. Rumor had it that previously, the Wang family was expelled from Imperial City overnight, due to an attempt to make their daughter closer to Si Han. This girl hadn't even gotten close to Si Han's body. She merely brushed his hand accidentally while passing over the wine. But this man was brutal and inhumane, as if he would reason with you. Chapter 111. A time for reconciliation. Thinking about the fate of the Wang family, Cui Hao finally realized his own fate, and he rushed over to Si Han with a face of imminent death and begged for mercy. "Ninth Master, I was wrong. I've learned from my mistake. I shouldn't have violated your taboo. You can do whatever you want with this woman. Do whatever pleases you." He had thought this woman was out of his league, so he couldn't bear to use her himself, offering her as a tribute to Si Han instead. Who knew that he sealed his own fate? Is Si Han a man at all? Faced with a woman of such beauty, yet he's completely indifferent to her. Once the girl heard that, her whole face was in disbelief and despair. She hadn't expected that she would be sold out just like that. However, with her status, she couldn't say a word in defense, and could only fall to the ground and cry in despair. Just then on the sofa, the man who was ceaselessly wiping the back of his hand with the disinfectant tissue suddenly turned and looked towards the door. Lin Ke followed Si Han's gaze and looked over, furrowing his brows. "Who's hiding there?" Yi Wanwan's spine stiffened. She was so frightened by Si Han's icy blade-like eyes that she stumbled in immediately. The moment Yi Wanwan entered, the box filled with cries of mercy and tears was silenced in an instant. Cui Hao was in a daze. He kept his mouth wide open and stood stupefied. The girl's expression was also lifeless. All they saw was a girl who entered the box abruptly, who had black hair, wore a white dress, and had skin as fair as snow and eyes twinkling like the stars over the autumn streams. Lin Ke saw Yi Wanwan, and his expression turned black. "Why is this troublemaker here?" Ninth Master, I'm here." Having been found out for her peeping, Yi Wanwan rearranged the edge of her dress nervously and walked in Si Han's direction. Everybody was startled by the sudden appearance of the girl and started speculating nonstop about Yi Wanwan's identity. Doesn't Si Han detest women? Why did he call a girl over himself? They thought the girl that Cui Hao found was of the highest caliber already, but compared to this girl in front of them, she suddenly became dull in comparison. Seeing the man on the sofa's bloodthirsty gaze, Yi Wanwan sighed deeply. "I'm really unlucky. Why did I come when he's fuming mad?" She had roughly gained a sense of the current situation. Si Han hated the touch of this woman, just like a person with OCD. Some patients with OCD washed their hands for an entire day, and Si Han's condition was similar. A single touch, and he would wipe his hand continuously until it was all mangled. When she first found out about Si Han's problem, she found it very strange. Am I not a woman too? Why's he fine with me? Si Han looked at the girl standing 3 steps away, and his face darkened even more. Seeing that Si Han's expression was gloomy, Yi Wanwan hurriedly collected her thoughts and sat next to Si Han quickly and started to pacify him. She lifted her head, looked towards Sui and asked, "Do you have any disinfectant?" "Yes." Sui took out a small bottle of spray from his body and handed it over, then shrank away in a swish. Lin Kei shot a look over at Yi Wanwan, speechless. "Don't bother, it doesn't work. He just sprayed an entire bottle on himself a second ago." Yi Wanwan ignored Lin Kei and held Si Yihan's hand. Everybody saw that Yi Wanwan actually touched Si Yihan's hand and was seized with terror, almost pissing on themselves. However, in the next second, everyone was shocked to find that Si Yihan didn't seem to have any reaction and actually allowed himself to be held obediently. Yi Wanwan didn't care about the looks from everybody. She focused on spraying the disinfectant on the back of Si Yihan's hand. Then, she used a tissue to wipe it clean, drew her rosy lips close to it and lightly blew at the red and swollen area. Finally, she kissed it as if she was coaxing a child. "Better?" The gentle breeze on the back of his hand and her warm and soft touch inexplicably made Si Yihan's mania calm down suddenly. After a moment of silence, Si Yihan nodded. "MHM." Lin Kei spat a mouthful of wine out. "Damn! My eyes! Cui Hao! Damn it! That actually worked." Chapter 112. Stuff. This girl simply coaxed him a little, and Si Yihan actually stopped wiping his hand. Even his frightful countenance had returned to normal, and there seemed to be some warmth in his eyes. Compared to this girl in front, the girl from before was complete garbage. Cui Hao couldn't help but probe Lin Kei further. "Young Master Lin, where did this sacred being come from?" "She's just the ugly freak." Lin Kei rubbed his chin and grumbled while he looked towards Yi Wanwan with a mind filled with doubt and suspicion. When did this arsonist Yi Wanwan become a firefighter? Cui Hao, huh? Ugly freak. Was Lin Kei blind? Seeing Cui Hao in a daze, Lin Kei reminded him gruffly, "What ha? You're lucky you were saved. Hurry up and get your woman to leave. I was scared half to death. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan coming over tonight, I wouldn't have been able to settle this incident." Cui Hao nodded continuously. While Si Yihan was still in a good mood, he quickly signaled to the girl on the ground. The girl got up quickly and rushed to Si Yihan to apologize in a jitter. "Ninth Master, I'm so sorry. I..." "Get out." Si Yihan looked annoyed. The girl initially thought she was dead meat. She didn't expect there to be a solution allowing her to be let off. She couldn't believe it and was stunned for a moment before bowing nonstop. "Yes. Thank you, Ninth Master, for your generosity." Before she left, the girl took a glance at the girl next to Si Yihan out of curiosity. It turns out that Si Yihan doesn't hate women, he's just disinterested in other women. Since Si Yihan suddenly became so easygoing, Cui Hao wept in joy. "Ninth Master, I'm really sorry about today. I'll punish myself with 3 glasses. Punish myself with 3 glasses. He was itching to slap himself in punishment. He thought that the girl he'd found was already of the highest quality, but who knew that Ninth Master already had a woman of such unrivaled beauty by his side. No wonder he was disinterested in all the other prey in the wild. At this moment, everybody in the box had the same thinking as Cui Hao, as they sized up the girl next to Si Yihan. Yi Wanwan didn't look at any of them. She sat close to Si Yihan without looking around, and her little hand grabbed some peanuts from the table from time to time. Si Yihan naturally noticed these unpleasant looks. However, seeing that Yi Wanwan was sitting next to him obediently and cracking peanuts, like a happy little squirrel with her face filled with happiness, his expression turned warm again. Yi Wanwan buried her head and skillfully cracked a small bunch of peanuts, but instead of eating them, she placed all of them in front of Si Yihan and indicated for him to partake. Since Si Yihan hadn't had anything that whole night aside from drinks, he finished every single peanut on the girl's hand. Probably because of a guilty conscience, Yi Wanwan used every ounce of energy to please Si Yihan. After feeding him peanuts, she fed him pistachios, and after the pistachios, she fed him some fruits. Her only wish was for the situation to improve. As for Si Yihan, he had already stopped drinking and ate whatever the girl fed him. Basically, all the other innocent people in the box were also stuffed already. Lin Single Dog K's face was as black as the bottom of a pot. He felt that all of them were no longer light bulbs. 1. They were simply like the sun and moon shining bottomless rays of light. Damn it. It was agreed that nobody was allowed to bring a girl. Yet you called for a girl over yourself and tortured everybody like that. Chapter 113. Sucking up to the right person. Ninth Master, this is? Someone tried to ask him. Han hated when people probed about his personal affairs. That person instantly regretted asking, but didn't expect him to actually reply with the word girlfriend. Hearing that one word, everybody in the box was shocked. Girlfriend? This is no ordinary girl. They had all thought she was just an ordinary person, but in the end, she actually was special to him? The corners of Lin Kei's mouth twitched as he glanced at Han. Could it be that this guy asked Yi Wanwan over to let her take an oath of sovereignty? Cui Hao wiped the cold sweat from his forehead and quickly tried to curry favor with the Ninth Master. Aya, no wonder Ninth Master rarely gets close to women. He already has such a beautiful girlfriend hidden at home. May I know your name, please? Hello everybody, my surname is Yi. Yi Wanwan gave them a simple greeting. Yi? Everybody mentally sifted through all the noble families with the surname Yi in Imperial City instantly. In the end, they still couldn't figure out exactly which Yi family it was. There seemed to be only one slightly prominent Yi family in Imperial City, but that family's status was far below everybody in the circle. Furthermore, that family's daughter was already engaged to the Gu family. Everyone just left it at that, and didn't dare to probe further. They continued drinking and chatting to liven things up. Things were very straightforward from that point onwards. The project that Cui Hao spent half a year working hard on, but hadn't managed to close with Han finally reached a conclusion that night. Finally, when they clinked glasses, Cui Hao was teary-eyed as he looked at Yi Wanwan gratefully, as if she was the goddess of mercy saving people in distress. He initially thought that he was dead meat. Who knew that not only was the crisis defused, he also managed to succeed in closing this important deal. Just like in ancient times when powerful ministers liked presenting women to the emperor's harem, there were all these people who presented women to Han, and he was no different. But seeing Han shun the concubine today, and the way he spoiled that girl, he realized they didn't stand a chance anymore. If the others were careless, they would end up in the same situation as him just now. However, it was possible to strike somewhere else. Before leaving, Cui Hao took out a golden card from his chest enthusiastically and gave it to Yi Wanwan. He said with a big smile on his face, "Miss Yi, it's my first time meeting you. This is a humble little token from my heart." Yi Wanwan scanned the card with the corners of her eyes, and her eyes glistened instantly. It was the gold card from one of the biggest luxury shopping malls in Imperial City, Parkson Plaza. With just this card, you could enjoy top VIP services and luxury goods at extremely discounted prices. Usually, aside from the internal top management, holders of the card had to spend at least 10 million. For those truly wealthy people, buying a piece of jewelry would probably be enough to reach that amount. But for ordinary people, and even to the average wealthy family, they could never afford to spend that much money at a mall. This man is just simply giving me a Parkson gold card like that? Cui Hao. Cui. Damn. She suddenly recalled that this person might just be the young master of the Parkson Corporation. Realizing this, Yi Wanwan didn't accept it and glanced at Han. Han looked at Cui Hao plainly, and didn't seem troubled by his actions. Accept it. Seeing that Han consented, Yi Wanwan then accepted it. Thank you. Cui Hao heaved a sigh of relief. Don't mention it, don't mention it. I couldn't think of anything to give you. You girls love shopping, so I thought you might like this. He could tell that this woman's influence over Han wasn't to be underestimated, so he'd better build a good relationship with her. After Han's car left, Lin Kei turned to Cui Hao, who was next to him. Good thinking. Cui Hao forced a laugh. As the saying goes, those who adjust their actions to the circumstances are wise. But young Master Lin, where did this woman come from? Can't you tell us a little? Lin Kei lit a cigarette. I can't tell you where she came from, but I can tell you. What? You've sucked up to the right person. Chapter 114. My feelings for you. The car moved steadily through the night, and soon after, they arrived at the school gate. After the car stopped, Si Han suddenly said to her. Don't believe anything Xia says. Yi Wanwan heard that, and was slightly stunned. She tried probing further casually. Xia? Was it because you guys had some conflicts in the past, and you're afraid that he'll do something to me? Si Han's tone was exceptionally cold. You just have to act accordingly. Oh, got it. Yi Wanwan nodded. In a single moment, the atmosphere became somewhat stagnant. After sitting in silence for some time, she stared at the man in front of her seriously and spoke, enunciating each word carefully. Si Han, since I've promised to start all over again with you properly, I'll never break my promise and I'll listen to you. But before that, you need to give me the same level of trust. Yi Wanwan paused for a moment before continuing. Otherwise, I won't eliminate the possibility of giving up halfway. Are you threatening me? The man said in a low voice akin to a venomous snake entangled around her throat. The car had become more chilly as well. She felt the arm around her waist tense up. Yi Wanwan took a deep breath to calm herself down. I admit, I'm very afraid of you, and I don't have any power to fight with you. My freedom, my dignity, my body, whatever it is, you can have it all. But there are some things that I need control of: my love, my heart, and my life. Yi Wanwan suddenly moved and kissed the man's lips, which were pressed together tightly. Of course, at the moment, I seem to have fallen for you more. The moment Yi Wanwan's words left her mouth, a trace of astonishment flashed across the man's eyes, while the iciness in the car seemed to slowly crack and dissipate into the air. What did you just say? Yi Wanwan tilted her head. I won't eliminate the possibility of giving up halfway? Si Han stared at her with his dark gaze and replied coldly. Not this sentence. Yi Wanwan thought about it. I'm very afraid of you? Si Han narrowed his eyes. Yi Wanwan. Seeing the man's exasperation, Yi Wanwan couldn't help but laugh and repeated slowly. I said I seem to like you more and more. Si Han stared at her and was still unsatisfied. Remove the extra word. All right, I've started to like you more and more. Yi Wanwan tactfully removed the word seem. Like. The man looked deeply into her eyes. What kind? What kind of like? Yi Wanwan blinked. Oh, it's the kind of like where I want to sleep with you. In the next moment, the man's pupils suddenly contracted like he had just sunken into some kind of painful memory. Before Yi Wanwan could comprehend the meaning behind his gaze, he lowered his body the next second and kissed her lips forcefully, squeezing out every inch of her gentleness and breath, and was much more intense than any other time before. Yi Wanwan let him kiss her obediently, while she heaved a deep sigh of relief inside her. On the surface, she seemed to be smiling and calm, but in fact, she was so nervous that her heart was about to jump out of her chest. She actually dared to threaten Yi Han. Although she knew that this was too dangerous and courted death, there were some issues with principles, that she had to let him know clearly. Otherwise, she would only keep retreating without the power to change her situation. Luckily, things went well, and she managed to pacify the great devil. But she didn't expect a low-level trick like hitting him with a rod and then feeding him a sweet jujube would work on this great devil. What a mysterious great devil. A long while later, the man finally ended his kiss and whispered in her ear. Wanwan, don't ever think of leaving me. Otherwise, I can't guarantee what I'll do. Chapter 115. Flashback. Yi Wanwan was dizzy as her brain lacked oxygen, and she was left in a trance. Even after living 2 lives, she still couldn't figure out what kind of feelings this guy had for her. In her previous life, her death was simply too sudden. She remembered that at that time, after a big fight, Si Han finally agreed to the divorce. She took the divorce certificate, and the first thing she did was look for Gu Yuze. With Shen Mengqi misleading her intentionally, she had always thought that she stood a chance from the start. She thought that Gu Yuze still loved her and wanted to save her, but he couldn't do anything as he was suppressed by Si Han's power. After she had completed the divorce procedures, Si Han actually allowed her to leave. And not just that, he even drove her to Gu Yuze personally. However, as she went to find him with a heart full of hope at the apartment which her father bought for her, initially intended for her and Gu Yuze's honeymoon, she saw Gu Yuze and Yi rolling on the bed naked. She stood by the door in a daze and saw everything through the gap in the door. Her pain was deepened after she learned the heart-wrenching truth from Gu Yuzhe and Yi Yi's dialogue. Her father's loss of power from beginning to end was conspired by Yi Yi and her second uncle. Even Gu Yuzhe took part in it. He was already secretly together with Yi Yi, while he was still dating Yi Wanwan. Her stupidity was the true culprit that harmed her whole family. She pushed the door open and stormed in to yell at that adulterous pair like a madwoman. Finally, what she got were Gu Yuzhe's disgust and Yi Yi's arrogant contempt and ridicule. Each and every word pricked her bleeding heart. Yi Wanwan, why don't you look in the mirror? Just look at yourself. Gu Yuzhe isn't blind. What crazy man would like you? Did you know how disgusted Yuzhe was when you clung to him with your fat body? Now you look like neither human nor ghost. Where did you get the confidence to think that Yuzhe would fall for a repulsive and idiotic person like you? Plot against you. So what if I did? You can only blame yourself for being so stupid. Anyway, this was all because you shamelessly used your dad's power and status to force Yuzhe into marrying you first. Wanwan, sorry, I've only had feelings for Yi all along. She wasn't sure how she managed to leave that place. She was in so much pain that she lost her senses as she went to find Shen Mengqi to pour her heart out to her as usual. What she didn't expect to find was Si Yihan at the door of Shen Mengqi's villa. And Shen Mengqi was actually confessing her love to Si Yihan. She heard Shen Mengqi saying, "Mr. Si, I like you. I fell for you the first time I met you. I really don't understand why Wanwan doesn't know how to treasure such a good man like yourself. If it was me, I'd definitely give my all to you." She just divorced Si Yihan, and this best friend of hers who had always been standing by her side and complained about Si Yihan with her, actually turned her back and confessed to her ex-husband. She was completely stunned then, and didn't hear what Si Yihan said. She only remembered that Si Yihan's expression remained cold. He probably rejected her, and Shen Mengqi's bashful face turned pale in an instant. After Si Yihan left, she finally regained her senses and frantically ran to confront Shen Mengqi to ask her why she did this. Chapter 116. A day of jubilation for everybody, and probably because she just got rejected, Shen Mengqi took her anger out on her. She said in an extremely malicious tone with a face full of contempt as she stared at her, and told her everything she had done. She told her how she played her like a fool all these years, gloating about how she sent her elder brother packing after she'd used him, and formed an alliance with her greatest nemesis, Yi Yi. She cursed her to death viciously and snarled that she wasn't good enough for Si Yihan. She fought and struggled for so many years, resisted for so many years, all for a greedy and cruel playboy. Her best friend, whom she treated like her real younger sister, had harmed her from the beginning, shooting for her husband and hoping for her to die. Everybody whom she loved and trusted was all gone within a day, and her world fell apart. She couldn't remember anything that happened after that, as her mental state was in a terrible condition. She didn't even know who caused her death. The only thing that she could recall was that in the dark, her whole body was in pain like her soul was being burnt. After all, there were many people who wanted her dead in this world. Shen Mengqi, Yi Yi, Qin Ruoxi, especially Qin Ruoxi. After all, she snatched the position of Mrs. C away from her. With Qin Ruoxi's family background, she just had to play some tricks to make Yi Wanwan into the enemy of the C family. From the esteemed old madam of the C family down to the senior clan members, there wasn't a single person who didn't want to vacate the stain by Si Yihan's side. She naturally suspected that Si Yihan was at fault. Could it be that he was still upset about letting me go, and since he couldn't have me, he thought he might as well get rid of me? This thought sent a chill to the bottom of her heart. After all, with Si Yihan's personality in her previous life, it was really surprising for him to allow her to leave so easily. It was very hard for her to believe that he'd truly let her go. However, on the other hand, she should thank Si Yihan. If it hadn't been for him, she would never have learnt the truth and seen the true colors of all the people surrounding her. She wasn't sure what kind of accident happened later, but she hadn't recovered from all the shock, or begun plotting for revenge, when she inexplicably died of an unnatural death. What are you thinking about? The man's low warning rang in her ears. That moment just now, and the expression on the girl's face made him feel uncomfortable. She was obviously by his side, but it seemed like she could vanish any time. For the first time, he realized that he couldn't see through her. He couldn't stand the feeling of being out of control. Yi Wanwan looked at his unhappy face and said innocently, "Of course I was thinking about you. Damn, I'm not even allowed to be distracted in front of him. Do you want to empty my brain, enter it and sit on the throne? Must you be so overbearing?" Although the girl's tone was undeniably fake, his face still eased up. "Head back quickly and don't wander about." "Got it, I haven't missed a single class recently, alright? I haven't been late and never left early either." Yi Wanwan unbuckled her seatbelt, bid him farewell as usual and got off the car. "Good night." The split second before Yi Wanwan got off, she noticed that the rack at the front of the car seat contained a pile of home tutoring materials. Seeing this, Yi Wanwan's heart skipped a beat. Is he getting me home tutoring materials to stop me from going to school? If she hadn't fought and stood up for herself just now, did that mean she would have been grounded in Jean Garden tonight? So close. A long time after Yi Wanwan left, Sui was still dazed in the driver's seat, unable to regain his senses. When he witnessed Yi Wanwan threatening Ninth Master, he was so afraid that his soul nearly vanished. In the end, Yi Wanwan beat Ninth Master with a rod, then fed him a sweet date. She was completely fine even after scratching the tiger's whiskers, and even stuffed his whole stomach with dog kibbles. Furthermore, didn't Ninth Master intend to stop Yi Wanwan from attending school anymore? He had braced himself for a world war, but nothing happened in the end. Sui. After a moment of silence, Si Han suddenly spoke without warning. Yes, Ninth Master, what can I do for you?" "It's all over, he's still going to flip out." Suyi's nerves were extremely tensed. Si Han's gaze followed the little figure in the night as he spoke calmly. "Your salary this month will be doubled, along with all the servants in Jean Garden." Sui was speechless. May I know? What happened? This good fortune has come too abruptly." Sui was dumbstruck for at least 3 minutes before regaining his senses. Could it be because Yi Wanwan just said that she liked him more and more? So should we all celebrate? Chapter 117. I'll work with you. By the small lake in school, Jiang Yinran sat there for almost 2 whole hours. All the while, Song Zihang called her to negotiate several times with threats and warnings. When she thought about Song Zihang's disappointment and disgust towards her, she felt as if her heart was pierced by a knife. But making her delete the post, how could she swallow this down? Just as she was thinking, she scrolled through her phone casually and saw that there was a new reply under that post. Her pupils contracted in an instant. "I seek for her 1,000 times in my dreams." This familiar ID obviously belonged to Song Zihang. "I seek for her 1,000 times in my dreams. Everybody, I'm Song Zihang. Firstly, I have nothing to do with Jiang Yinran. The engagement was just a joke between our families. Secondly, Shin Mengqi didn't kiss me voluntarily. It was me who was unable to hold back from kissing a beauty like her. Mengqi also didn't mention us being together after graduating. She only said that she wanted to study hard now. Thirdly, I've only liked one person from the beginning, Shin Mengqi. Come at me if you have anything to say. Don't hurt innocent people." Song Zihang. "You're good." Reading each and every word of defense, Jiang Yinran bit down hard on her lips as the taste of blood filled her mouth. And the replies following that post were gashed at her heart like knives. Wow, the original proprietor has appeared. I suddenly find Captain Song very dashing. Am I the only person who pities Jiang Yinran? She knew Song Zihang first, right? In the end, she was wrenched to the corner just like that. Furthermore, Song Zihang's words might not be completely true. But there is no way around this. In relationships, there have to be 2 people in love with each other. He already said that he never liked her, and it was just wishful thinking on her part. Blame it on her inability to get him. What has that got to do with Shin Mengqi? Song Zihang's choice was also indisputable, right? If it was me, I would choose the class beauty as well. Ha ha ha. Although with regards to what Song Zihang said, there were still some people who were suspicious and felt that maybe he said those things on purpose to defend Shin Mengqi. But Song Zihang's reply still managed to change the course of the discussion, and even boosted the popularity of Shen Mengqi and Qing He. At the same time, Yi Wanwan returned to her dorm. She wasn't sure why, but she felt that the sentence she said by chance tonight, the kind of like "where I want to sleep with you," sounded strangely familiar, like she'd said this phrase to someone at some point in the past. But that person definitely wasn't Gu Yuze. After all, she remembered every single thing she ever said to Gu Yuze clearly. Damn, I said something like that to someone and forgot who he was. How could I do something so degrading? Yi Wanwan cleared the rubbish thoughts in her mind, and was just about to go to bed when her phone suddenly rang. The display showed Jiang Yinran's name. Yi Wanwan raised her brows and answered, "Hello." The moment the call was connected, Jiang Yinran's emotional voice came through the receiver immediately. "Yi Wanwan, you're not allowed to delete that post. I agree to work with you in any way you'd like. I just want Song Zihang to be regretful. I want Shin Mengqi to pay the price." What a sudden change in attitude. It seemed like Shin Mengqi had already sorted things out with Song Zihang, and got him to prove her innocence personally. "No problem," Yi Wanwan replied. "Tell me what I should do right now. Don't rush, my big missy. You can come over to my room first, and we can take our time discussing it." Yi Wanwan just finished speaking before realizing that her words sounded weird, like they went wrong somewhere. Like a classic line in the unspoken rule of the entertainment circle. "All right, I'll be there right away." Jiang Yinran naturally didn't know that Yi Wanwan, who knew women very well, was already driving in her heart. She agreed without a second thought. Chapter 118. Call off the engagement. After hanging up, Yi Wanwan opened the post to take a look. Just as she'd predicted, Song Zihang came to the rescue of his princess. Shen Mengqi was saved and Jiang Yinran became the laughingstock of the school. Now the whole school knew that she was unsuccessful with her secret crush, and even fought her best friend out of jealousy. TSK. He really dared to speak up for his sweetheart, and even pushed away the engagement that both families had established. The knock on the door quickly came. "Coming." Yi Wanwan stood up and walked over to open the door. "Yi." After seeing clearly the person who opened the door for her, Jiang Yinran was speechless. "Come on in." Listening to the familiar voice of the girl standing there, Jiang Yinran was in total disbelief. You're Yi Wanwan?" She remembered that Yi Wanwan lived alone, and that there was nobody else in this dorm. But the girl in front of her was prettier than the school beauty Cheng Shui. How could she be that ugly freak, Yi Wanwan? It was said that before Yi Wanwan started applying makeup, she was fat and ugly. After she slimmed down, she was just ugly. Everybody, including herself, thought that Yi Wanwan applied such heavy makeup to hide her ugly looks due to some inferiority complex. Without it, she would have given up on herself. Qinghe was Imperial City's most aristocratic school. It had rigorous teaching methods, but it was considered open. Like international schools, they promote individualism and diversity, and didn't restrict students' style of dress or makeup. But everyone put in a lot of effort to reflect well on their families' backgrounds. Yi Wanwan was the only one who embarrassed herself like that. Yi Wanwan led Jiang Yinran through the door and poured her a cup of water. "Sit anywhere you like." Since they were already in the same league, and Jiang Yinran was a girl, she didn't bother applying her makeup all over again. "Are you really Yi Wanwan?" Jiang Yinran still felt like she was dreaming. "Do you need me to return to my usual self to prove my identity?" Yi Wanwan picked the green wig up. No need." Jiang Yinran waved hurriedly. "But why do you make yourself look that way every day?" Yi Wanwan lifted her brows. "What's wrong with how I look every day? Don't I look good?" Regarding Yi Wanwan's aesthetic taste, Jiang Yinran was speechless. It was Yi Wanwan's right to choose to dress any way she liked. Jiang Yinran was simply shocked that Yi Wanwan looked so beautiful without her makeup, but it wasn't her business. After glancing at Yi Wanwan several times, unable to restrain herself, she got down to business and asked, "You really have a plan?" Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and didn't keep her guessing. She replied directly, "If you trust me, then the first thing you need to do is get your parents to call off the engagement with the Song family immediately." Also, it had to be as soon as possible. She remembered that around this time in her previous life, the Jiang family almost emptied their pockets to support the Song family and helped the Song family successfully clinch a big project with the government. This helped the Song family to rise from a small company to a company that was on par with the Jiang family, like a carp leaping into the dragon's gate. From there, the Song family's company surpassed the Jiang family year after year. Jiang Yanran face turned pale instantly. What? Call off the engagement. Yi Wanwan raised her brows. Don't tell me you still haven't given up on him yet, and want to marry him. How could that be? I only want him to be remorseful now. Jiang Yanran's expression was slightly confused. But Yi Wanwan, it's not as simple as you think. Both our family's companies have many business dealings and projects together, and if I suddenly ask my parents to call off the engagement, this would affect us greatly. We have to give this some more thought. Chapter 119. Take swift action. Yi Wanwan smiled and replied, how about you give this some more thought? I saw the news recently and heard that the Song family is trying to fight for a big project with the government. Your family has injected $1 billion into it, investing so much money within a short time. I'm afraid you guys risk your funds not turning over quickly enough and emptying the company's capital, right? Your parents helped the Song family only because they want you to have a good life in the future. Now that you've seen that boy's true colors, you should take swift action. Do you want him to make all the gains, and then use all the flesh and blood he gnawed off you to take care of Shen Mengqi? In her previous life, as one of the men supporting Shen Mengqi, Song Ziheng continuously developed and expanded the company with the help of his in-laws. But he took out large sums of money in secret to pave the way for Shen Mengqi, and even invested in the entertainment business. If she waited till the Song family clinched this big project before calling off the engagement, it would be too late. Jiang Yanran bit her lips when she heard that and stopped hesitating. I'll call my parents now. It's just that my parents were really fond of Song Ziheng, and calling off the engagement is quite a big issue. Even if I asked for it, they would just assume I was throwing a tantrum and wouldn't take me seriously. Furthermore, both families have such a big collaboration together. Yi Wanwan extended her hand out. Pass me the phone and I'll make the call for you. Yi Wanwan recalled the news she saw on the television in her previous life. After Jiang Yanran took her own life, her parents cried and fainted directly in the morning hall. Mrs. Jiang passed away not long after due to grief. It was obvious that even though her parents were strict with their only daughter, Jiang Yanran, they loved her deeply too. Although breaking off the engagement might cause a lot of trouble, she felt that Jiang Yanran's parents would definitely stand on their daughter's side. You're making the call for me? Jiang Yanran asked hesitantly. Actually, up till now, she still felt that she was just desperately grasping at straws and didn't trust Yi Wanwan completely. But looking at this girl's eyes gave her an unconscious desire to believe her. Alas, Jiang Yanran agreed. Yi Wanwan dialed Jiang Yanran's mother's number using Jiang Yanran's phone. Hello Yanran. Why are you calling mommy at this hour? Do you need more money? Hearing her mom's voice over the phone, Jiang Yanran's nose twitched. On the contrary, Yi Wanwan's tone was full of terror and she exclaimed anxiously, Auntie, I'm not Yanran, I'm her classmate. Hurry and come down to the school. Yanran jumped into the river and tried to take her own life just now. Jiang Yanran was stupefied by what Yi Wanwan said and wanted to speak up, but was stopped by Yi Wanwan's glare. The tone of Mrs. Zhang's voice changed. What did you say? You said that our Yanran took her own life. What nonsense are you talking about? Yanran's perfectly fine. Why would she kill herself? Are you a cheat? Auntie, I'm not a cheat. I'm really Yanran's classmate. But don't worry. Luckily we found her in time, so she's not in danger. She's currently resting in my dorm. It's just that she's still quite unstable. If you don't believe me, you can make a trip down to school. Yanran's in my dorm at the moment. Yi Wanwan gave her dorm room number. Once Mrs. Jiang heard that the girl wasn't trying to extort money or threaten her, she knew that she couldn't possibly be a cheat anymore. Thus she quickly said, Okay, I'll be there right away. After she hung up, Jiang Yanran furrowed her brows. Wanwan by doing this. Aren't you? What? Lying? You dare to say that you weren't prepared to kill yourself just now? Yi Wanwan asked, confident that she was right. Jiang Yanran was silent. If not for Yi Wanwan's sudden appearance, she might have really jumped in and would have lost her life. You've said it as well. Calling off the engagement isn't child's play. It's a big issue. If we don't do something dramatic, your parents wouldn't act immediately. It's also to prevent your parents from being soft-hearted and changing their minds once the Song family simply apologizes. Yi Wanwan explained. Jiang Yanran thought about it and found it reasonable as well, so she nodded instantaneously. Chapter 120. Recruiting talent. Why were you looking at me? Yi Wanwan blinked. Jiang Yanran coughed lightly and tilted her head. I just feel that you've changed drastically. Yi Wanwan laughed. Changed? Did you know the real me to begin with? Jiang Yanran thought about it. She wasn't close to this girl when they were roommates, and misunderstood her even after she moved out from their dorm. She truly didn't know what her real self was like. Sorry about what happened in the past. I was wrong about you, Jiang Yanran said, slightly abashed. Why were you still helping me after how I treated you? I've said it before, it's teamwork. I need your help at times too. With Yi Wanwan's honest and direct attitude, Jiang Yanran was quite pleased and immediately said, let me know what you need help with, and I'll help as long as it's within my limits. There's no need at the moment, but in future, there will be one thing. Yi Wanwan stared at Jiang Yanran, with a gaze akin to a fox looking at meat. Jiang Yanran was uncomfortable with the way Yi Wanwan stared at her. In the future? What is it? Yi Wanwan's eyes glistened as she looked at her. If you enter the entertainment field in future, please consider letting me be your manager. If she wanted to take down Yi in this life, there was no way she could enter the entertainment field herself. After all, there was Si Han, the jealous lover. Amongst all the back-end jobs, being a manager suited her best. In contrast to being an actress, being a manager allowed her to broaden her network of powerful people, and it would benefit her when she started her own firm later. Right now, what was most important was entering Imperial City's media PR profession and strengthening her professional knowledge. Although she was unable to recruit talent aggressively right now, if she managed to gather some potential artists, that would still be something. And Jiang Yanran was a ready-made strong warrior. Hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Jiang Yanran was somewhat surprised. Because of my parents, I do in fact plan to enter the entertainment industry in the future. But with my looks, I'm more suited for back-end jobs, right? But you, without your makeup, you look really beautiful. Why don't you just debut instead of being a manager? Yi Wanwan scanned Jiang Yanran from head to toe and said, clicking her tongue. My dear, I'd say that you've underestimated yourself. Believe me, with your looks, you could beat Shin Mengqi in seconds. It's just that you don't know how to show off your looks, but don't be nervous. I'll help you with a makeover next time. Jiang Yanran probably kept her long black hair straight and wore a long skirt every day to please Song Zihang. With this style of dressing, she thinks that she'd look just like Shin Mengqi and become the goddess of many boys' hearts. However, Jiang Yanran obviously didn't suit her current style. Not only was she unattractive, she looked more like a nun. In her previous life, after she entered the entertainment industry, Jiang Yanran had always taken compelling routes, often acting in suffering and ugly roles. But she remembered clearly that in her previous life, during one of the prize presentation ceremonies, Jiang Yanran went up on stage in a sexy red gown to receive the Best Lead Actress award, and that night, she beat all the female actresses within seconds. However, Jiang Yanran was dressed that way only once, and after that, she was never seen in that style again in the entertainment news. Probably because she was yet again brainwashed by Shin Mengqi. Jiang Yanran recalled Yi Wanwan's usual monstrous makeup and aesthetic tastes, obviously not convinced by her words. Yi Wanwan knew that she didn't believe her now, but she didn't mind at all. She took out an outfit from her wardrobe and gave it to her. Go change into my pajamas, then lie in my bed. Your parents should be here soon. Thank you, Jiang Yanran nodded. Chapter 121. Complaints. Jiang Yinran's parents arrived shortly after. Hearing the knock on the door, Yi Wanwan braced herself, and then immediately went over to open the door. Where's Yinran? Where's our Yinran? Where's my daughter? Mr. and Mrs. Jiang were so anxious that they were sweating buckets. Uncle, Auntie, you're finally here. Yinran's lying in bed. Hurry and take a look at her. Yi Wanwan said quickly. Both of them immediately rushed to the bed, and after seeing their daughter lying there, their hearts broke instantly. Jiang Yinran looked quite haggard. Her face was so pale without a trace of color, and her eyes were also completely red and swollen. Mr. and Mrs. Jiang probably wouldn't have any suspicions at all. Yinran, why were you so silly? What exactly happened? Yinran, hurry and tell Daddy. Did somebody in school bully you? Jiang Yinran looked at her anxious parents in shock. After seeing her family, she couldn't hold back the feelings that she'd been suppressing any longer and sunk into her mother's embrace as she cried in pain. Daddy. Mommy. I feel so awful. So awful. Mrs. Jiang's heart broke with her daughter's cries. Darling girl. Oh, my darling girl. Are you trying to get Mommy and Daddy worried sick? What happened exactly? Yi Wanwan stood at the side, tears streaming down her face as well. Uncle, Auntie, you must speak up for Yinran. Yinran was bullied so badly in school. Mr. Jiang's face filled with rage instantly. Who dares to bully my daughter? Yi Wanwan replied. It's Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Daddy Jiang's expression changed. Zihang and Shen Mengqi? How could that be? Zihang would never bully Yinran. And isn't Mengqi Yinran's best friend? Yi Wanwan hurriedly explained. That's not true at all. Song Zihang has never liked Yinran, and even got together with Yinran's best friend, Shen Mengqi, in secret. As Yinran's best friend, Shen Mengqi not only kept this from Yinran, but she even hooked up with Song Zihang after finding out that Yinran and Song Zihang were engaged. Mr. Jiang said sternly. That's impossible. I know that kid's character very well. Zihang is true to our Yinran. Mrs. Jiang chipped in as well. Yes, we see it for ourselves every day. Yi Wanwan sneered in her heart. This Song Zihang was quite talented at leaving a good impression. No wonder Jiang Yinran was worried that her parents wouldn't believe her. Yi Wanwan continued with her complaints. Uncle, Auntie, you guys were fooled. Song Zihang was just acting in front of you from the start. Whenever the elders of both families weren't together, he treated Yinran coldly, and even told Yinran that he liked someone else. But Yinran was too silly and loved him too much. She didn't care about any of this, and would be over the moon when Song Zihang simply smiled at her. She thought that maybe she'd be able to change him someday. As a girl, in order to please him, Yinran woke up early in the morning, during the winter, to travel over 10 miles in the dark to buy him his favorite breakfast. In the summer, she'd run over to the basketball court to cheer for him, every day under the scorching sun. She's a princess and has led a pampered life at home, but in order to please him, she was the servant for the entire basketball team. She'd get snacks and water for all of them silently, and even wash those sweaty and smelly jerseys. Chapter 122. What a joke! She still knew a little about Jiang Yinran, as she'd been roommates with her for quite some time, and at that point in time, their relationship hadn't soured yet. Just listening to all this, Mr. Jiang threw a big fit. Silly. Yinran, you're the apple of our eyes. How could you degrade yourself for a man? Without me, the Song family would be bankrupt. He should spoil my daughter like a princess. Instead, he treats you so poorly, as if you're a maid at his beck and call. Mrs. Jiang was in disbelief as well. Silly child. Why are you so silly? Why didn't you tell us? Yinran was worried that if she complained to you, Song Zihang would hate her even more. Yi Wanwan sobbed and continued in anger. After putting in so much effort, what did she get in the end? It was him enjoying Yinran's efforts with an easy conscience and uncle and auntie's financial support, while he hooked up with Yinran's best friend. I couldn't take it any longer, so I made a post to condemn those two assholes. In the end, Song Zihang thought that Yinran was the one who posted it, so he scolded her with all sorts of awful things. He said that she was evil, cunning, and forced her to delete the post. Since the post wasn't deleted, Song Zihang actually made a clarification in the school's forum stating that he had nothing to do with Yin Ran, and that the engagement didn't exist. He even said that he only liked Shen Mengqi alone from the beginning. Mr. Zhang's face became extremely gloomy. Is everything you said true? Completely true. Uncle, Auntie, the post is still here. Take a look and you'll know what happened. Yi Wanwan opened that post on her phone and placed it in front of them. Didn't Shen Mengqi enjoy telling on me? This time, I'll give her a taste of her own medicine. Both husband and wife quickly looked at the post. In the quiet dorm, there were only the voices of the arguing Shen Mengqi and Jiang Yin ran from the video on the phone screen listening to their daughter's despairing accusations, with each word cutting them deeply. Mr. and Mrs. Zhang's hearts clenched. The clarification that Song Zihang posted later on ignited their fumes. Mr. Jiang was so mad that his voice shook. Yin Ran has nothing to do with him. The engagement was simply a joke by the elders. Great, great. What a great joke. Song Xiaowei, you've got a great son. Mrs. Jiang read the posts of the netizens mocking her daughter, and was so angry that she cried. God! How could these people say these things about Yin Ran? Yin Ran, it's Mommy's fault. Mommy's really sorry. Mommy didn't realize sooner. Mommy made you suffer so much. How upset must Yin Ran be after reading this? No wonder my daughter wanted to kill herself. All these people were too much. Jiang Yin Ran looked at her heartbroken parents and hurriedly soothed them. Mommy, it's all thanks to Wanwan for saving me this time. Due to some misunderstandings, our friendship hasn't been great, but after this incident, I finally realized who my true friend is. Mrs. Jiang held Yi Wanwan's hand gratefully. Good girl, thank you so much. It's nothing, Auntie, it's the least I could do. Mr. Jiang let out a long sigh. Yin Ran, it's a good thing that you can take this chance to see things more clearly. We can start all over again. All the things you've suffered, Mommy and Daddy will definitely get back at them for you. Don't you ever do anything so silly again. Chapter 123. Cruel and wicked. Your dad's right, Yin Ran. If anything happened to you, we wouldn't know how to continue living. Sorry, Daddy, Mommy, I'm so selfish. I'll never do it again. Jiang Yin Ran let out a big cry in front of her parents and poured out all of her troubles. Yi Wanwan waited for the three of them to calm down a little before asking, Uncle, Auntie, how are you going to do her justice? Mr. Jiang snorted coldly. Obviously we'll go along with that Song family's cruel and wicked bastard's wish and call off the engagement. Jiang Yin Ran revealed a worried look. But both our families have had such a long relationship and have many intertwined businesses and projects. Mr. Jiang gave his daughter a reassuring look. Yin Ran, don't you worry about this and let Daddy handle it. Thankfully we found out now. If we were a day late, our 1 billion would have been transferred into the Song's account. I'd rather take the money and feed it to the dogs now than let them have it so easily. Seeing Mr. Jiang's reaction, Yi Wanwan was relieved. Mr. Jiang, you're awesome. Yin Ran, you have nothing to worry about anymore. You must pull yourself together for the sake of Uncle and Auntie. Wanwan's right, how could Daddy's daughter be so weak? We must never let others look down on us. Mrs. Jiang looked at her daughter on the bed with a worried look. What should we do now? We can't stay in school for too long. Yin Ran, would you like to come home with us for 2 days? Jiang Yin Ran shook her head and said firmly, Daddy, Mommy, I'm fine. I've thought things through, and I don't want to interrupt my studies. Hearing their daughter say that, they thought she must have straightened things out. Both husband and wife were relieved. Wanwan, then we're going to have to trouble you to take care of Yin Ran for the time being. We really don't know how to thank you. Yes. It's all thanks to you. The couple thanked Yi Wanwan again and again. Then, since they were still worried about Yin Ran, they talked some more sense into her again for a while, before they finally parted reluctantly. Although they hated to part with their daughter, they had to go back immediately to seek justice for her. After the couple left, Jiang Yin Ran suddenly looked towards Yi Wanwan earnestly. Yi Wanwan. Yi Wanwan turned and asked, What is it? Jiang Yin Ran's eyes were slightly red. Thank you. Thank you so much. If it wasn't for Yi Wanwan, with my character, I would have probably kept this from mommy and daddy. Even if I came around to telling them, it'd be too late then. Yi Wanwan smiled and teased. You can't just thank me verbally. If you really want to thank me, then you have to devote your body to me. Jiang Yanran was amused. Got it. If I enter the entertainment field in future, I'll definitely turn to you. I could tell just from today that your acting skills surpass those of even the top actors, and your PR crisis-solving skills are top-notch. That's right, good call. Yi Wanwan nodded as she agreed and said casually, all right, since we've settled things with your parents, you don't have to worry about anything now. Just put on a facial mask and have a good night's rest. Ask the teacher for a break tomorrow too. Rest a little and readjust your state of mind. We'll start with step 2 after school tomorrow. Step 2. Jiang Yanran was surprised. Giving you your makeover. Yi Wanwan nodded earnestly. TSK. I just remembered that after school tomorrow, Qinghe's going to have a basketball match against the neighboring high school. It's the best chance to stir something up. Chapter 124. My boyfriend's skills. Do we have to? Jiang Yanran hesitated. Although she had complete trust in Yi Wanwan, this was really. Yi Wanwan shot her a look and handed a mirror over. Do you want to look like an abandoned wife in front of everybody in school and get laughed at? Of course not, but can you really do it? Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin. If I mess up, I'll shave my head bald to accompany you. Speaking of which, I've never tried going bald before. Seeing Yi Wanwan's expression, it seemed like she looked forward to trying that look. Jiang Yanran was speechless, and the corners of Jiang Yanran's mouth twitched. No thanks. Yi Wanwan placed an arm over her shoulder and started speaking with confidence. Stop looking like the 5 heroes on Langya Mountain preparing to be martyred one, alright? I have very good taste. Let's take you as an example. You're not suited for that innocent and pure White Lotus look. Just look at your chest. Could you ever look innocent? You still want to copy Shen Mengqi and go with that innocent style. You need to know your own body better, okay? Jiang Yanran suddenly covered her chest and blushed. Yi Wanwan. You. Pervert. I'm speaking the truth, okay? Yi Wanwan glanced several times, drooling. Trust me, you're more suited for the enchanting and alluring, radiating and domineering queen look. Firstly, you'll need to change your boring straight black hair. You have thin hair, so this hairstyle looks like you have seaweed glued to your hair. Do you know how ugly it is? Anyway, you just have to listen to me once you get to the hairdresser's tomorrow. Jiang Yanran thought about it. If her hair was ruined, she could just wear a hat, so she agreed. As long as you don't make me dye my hair green, I'm fine with it. Do as you wish. Are you sure? Even if I want you to cut your hair short? Yi Wanwan asked. Jiang Yanran laughed. I don't even want that man anymore. Why would I be sad over this hair that I kept for him? Yi Wanwan nodded, pleased. Not bad, not bad. You're worthy of being my student. One night went by. Jiang Yanran didn't return to her dorm. Instead, she slept over at Yi Wanwan's place. When Yi Wanwan woke up the next morning, she didn't wake Yanran up. Instead, she washed up quietly and left for class. As they went to bed late last night, Yi Wanwan was very sleepy. Once she reached class, she laid on the desk to catch up on her sleep. On the contrary, the Xia, who was usually asleep, looked very energetic. He even arrived earlier than her today. Seeing Yi Wanwan arrive, the teenager's eyes seemed to light up, and he handed her a small slice of exquisitely decorated cake, which looked like a piece of art. Wanwan, have you had your breakfast? This almond cake is delicious. Do you want to try it? It was the gentle voice of the hunk of many girls' dreams. But to Yi Wanwan, it felt more like the voice of a life-seizing devil. I don't like almonds. Upon hearing that Yi Wanwan didn't like almonds, Xia's face stiffened for a fleeting moment. What do you like then? Yi Wanwan was on the verge of collapsing as she answered dryly. There's too many to say. I'm begging you, man. Don't talk to me anymore. Do you know how many people are staring at me right now? Seeing that Yi Wanwan was in a bad mood, Xia frowned. Wanwan, you didn't sleep well last night? Yi Wanwan took a deep breath. This can't go on. Looks like I need to use my ultimate move. Thus, Yi Wanwan kept her head down and continued to lie on the table as she blurted out. Yeah, I didn't sleep well because my boyfriend's too skilled. Next to her, there was a gust of cold wind and a dead stillness. A complete silence. Chapter 125. Remarkably effective. Yi Wanwan didn't care to see her deskmate's reaction and fell asleep peacefully. In a daze, she had a dream. There were sounds of gunshots, explosions, and screaming everywhere. She could only see fresh blood and blazing fires all over the place. She was already exhausted, but had to keep running and running. Her surroundings were filled with fearful people, and there were people dying next to her continuously. She could be next. The smell of death was getting closer and closer. She wasn't sure how long she ran for, but the road seemed never-ending. Finally, she reached a dead end, and there was only a cliff up ahead. Behind her was a dark vortex, and in front was a murderous aura getting closer and closer to her. She couldn't retreat, so she took out a knife and cut those people's necks one by one. Fresh blood soaked the earth. Ring the bell rang. It was the start of class. Yi Wanwan woke up in a shock, her whole body drenched in cold sweat. Damn it. Why did I have this nightmare again? Ever since she'd gone through that terrifying attack overseas, she dreamt of this scary and gruesome image frequently. However, she wasn't afraid of those images. Instead, she was frightened by her cold-blooded and ferocious eyes in the dream. It didn't feel like myself in the dream. Beside her, Xia noticed that Yi Wanwan seemed to have a nightmare, and he furrowed his brows like he was about to say something. But then the unexpected "my boyfriend's too skilled" popped into his head, and like a curse stopping him from speaking, he immediately shut his mouth. As her ultimate move was remarkably effective, Yi Wanwan had peace for the whole day. After school, she immediately headed back to the dormitories to look for Jiang Yanran. As there was a basketball match in school that day, there were many people who wanted to watch, so the class monitor gave them a day off, and they didn't have rehearsal today. After she went back, Yi Wanwan looked at her normally empty dormitory that was filled with things. Jiang Yanran, who was packing her things, saw that Yi Wanwan had returned and spoke apprehensively. I've requested for a change of dormitory from the teacher. Since I'm on leave today, I brought my stuff over. If you have problems living with me, I'll request for some other arrangement. Yi Wanwan didn't mind, but she was slightly worried. What if Si Han appears again like last time? Jiang Yanran would have a big scare. Forget it, I'll just give Si Han a call later. Having a roommate's not a bad thing anyway. It's a legitimate reason, and I won't have to be scared that he'll appear suddenly anymore. Why would I mind? I would have allowed you to stay over even if you didn't mention it. With her situation, she definitely can't stay with Shen Mengqi any longer. After Yi Wanwan spoke, she looked at Jiang Yanran and asked, "Oh yes, can I ask you something? Does Chu Feng from the neighboring Jinxiu School's basketball team have a crush on you? How did you know?" Jiang Yanran was a little taken aback. "I saw his love letter to you in the garbage," Yi Wanwan replied. Jiang Yanran was stunned and felt slightly awkward, but she didn't deny it. "He did write me a love letter to confess. At the time, I was in love with Song Zihang and didn't care about him. Why did you suddenly bring this up?" Yi Wanwan rubbed her chin and said, "Send him a text and ask him out for dinner." Jiang Yanran froze. "Huh? But I'm not interested in him at all. Actually, I'm not interested in anybody. Anyway, I just fell out with Song Zihang. Is this good timing?" Yi Wanwan naturally knew what she was worried about. She held her hand and spoke earnestly. "My dear, how would you know if you haven't tried? The best way to forget a relationship is to start a new one. Most importantly, as long as you believe me and do what I say, I promise that Song Zihang will definitely be so pissed that he'll vomit blood." Chapter 126. Why don't you broaden your horizons? Let me tell you, you thought you couldn't live without him. Thought he was your entire world when in fact, you were just sitting in a silo, limiting yourself. It's such a big world. Why don't you broaden your horizons instead of clinging onto Song Zihang? Chu Feng came from a good family. He was good in his studies and sports as well. He was also way better looking than Song Zihang, which was enough to spite Song Zihang for sure. On one hand, she suggested it to spite Song Zihang, but on the other hand, she was worried about Jiang Yanran. Given Jiang Yinran's character, even if she decided to not commit suicide, this incident must have traumatized her greatly. With her paranoid temperament, she might never trust a man anymore. It'd be great if Jiang Yinran and Chu Feng worked out. But if they didn't, it'd be good to have her attention diverted as well. In fact, there were quite a number of people who were interested in Jiang Yinran. She could only remember Chu Feng, because in her previous life, after Jiang Yinran took her own life, Song Zihang immediately invested in a big production and specifically requested to have Shin Mengqi as the lead actress. At the premiere of that movie, Chu Feng suddenly ran up on stage like a madman and beat Song Zihang up. That incident was very serious, and everybody gossiped about it. It was said that afterwards, Song Zihang started legal proceedings against him, but was unsuccessful as Chu Feng had a strong family backing, so they ended things amicably. She could still remember that man's raging and mourning expression on the screen to this day. At that point, it had been a few years after Jiang Yinran got married, but this man still kept thinking about her after all those years. Thus, Yi Wanwan felt that this man wasn't bad and was worth a shot. Upon hearing what Yi Wanwan said, Jiang Yinran smiled bitterly as she mocked herself. How could Song Zihang be pissed? Although that was what she said in the end, she still listened to Yi Wanwan. Maybe Yi Wanwan's right. I should broaden my horizons. Yi Wanwan let out a sigh of relief after witnessing Jiang Yinran send the text. Then, she eyed her from head to toe and frowned. Don't tell me you're wearing this today? What's wrong? These are the nicest clothes I have. I picked these out on purpose today. Jiang Yinran said. Yi Wanwan let out a long sigh. It's more like she's the one with problems with her aesthetic taste. Could her fashion sense be any worse? It's plain white and unflattering like an old rag. How is that nice? It's the most trendy piece now. Artistic ghastly girl in a cloth kind of style, is it? Yi Wanwan rolled her eyes and dug around Jiang Yinran's wardrobe. With one look, she took out a floral dress. Change into this. There were large vintage flowers imprinted on it, but it wasn't over the top. It was attractive, young and vibrant, suited for her style and age. On other people, it would look quite dull, but on Jiang Yinran, she could definitely pull it off. Jiang Yinran looked at the dress, slightly taken aback. You really know how to pick them. This is my most expensive dress. My mother gave it to me on my birthday. It's brand C's limited edition set. But the colors are too loud and showy, so I've never worn it before. Go try it, go try it. I want to see it. Yi Wanwan stared at her with her eyes glistening, face full of anticipation. Jiang Yinran laughed in annoyance. All right. No matter how hard her mother tried to convince her in the past, she never tried on anything that Song Zihang wouldn't like. But as for Yi Wanwan, though she knew very well that she didn't have the best taste, she had some inexplicable trust towards her. The hairdresser had nothing more to say. What he couldn't figure out was that although this girl clearly had good aesthetic taste, why did she make herself look like that? At this moment, seeing her own reflection in the mirror, Jiang Yinran seemed to have lost her senses too. She had very little self-confidence, and after finding out about Song Zihang and Shin Mengqi, she felt even more self-conscious. She kept thinking that Yi Wanwan was simply trying to make her feel better with her compliments. I never knew there's this side of me. What is it? Are you blown away by your own beauty? Yi Wanwan laughed. It looks really good. Jiang Yinran nodded honestly. After all, as a girl, seeing herself become better looking brightened up her mood. More like stunning, okay? The big transformation is done. Let's head over to the basketball court and find a good seat. Yi Wanwan was secretly ecstatic. Chapter 128. Isn't he silly? Today's basketball match was the last match for the seniors. It was a farewell match, so it was particularly packed with people. Yi Wanwan stood by the entrance and scanned the court. She could see the two teams warming up but couldn't find Chu Feng. He probably hadn't arrived yet. As for Song Zihang, his tall and big body stood out conspicuously in the second row of the arena. Sitting with him were Shen Mengqi, Fang Qin, and a few other girls from Class A. Those girls looked at Song Zihang with gleaming eyes, full of worship. But in Song Zihang's eyes, there was only Shen Mingqi. Song Zihang trained his eyes on the girls in front of him and spoke somewhat emotionally. Thank you for coming to cheer for us. Haha, Captain Song. You mean to thank Mengqi for coming to watch your match? We're just here incidentally. With Mengqi's support, today will definitely be Captain Song's home game. We'll wipe out Jinxiu completely. That's for sure. It's the power of love. Shen Mengqi wore a long light green dress today, looking very fresh and elegant. She blushed as she shot a look at the crowd teasing her. Stop messing around. It's only right to cheer for our own school's basketball team. Yi Wanwan observed from a distance as she clicked her tongue. Jiang Yin ran brought water and food, and washed the clothes for the entire basketball team, but didn't even get a single word of praise. Shen Mengqi, on the other hand, merely sat there to watch a match, and he was beyond touched. Are you okay? Yi Wanwan glanced at Jiang Yin Ran worried. Jiang Yin Ran took a deep breath and looked away from those two people flirting with each other. I'm fine, let's go. Ever since he posted that reply on the forum, Song Zihang had been unscrupulously courting Shen Mengqi. The two of them walked in a single file towards seats in the front row. The spectators on the basketball court started whispering once they saw Yi Wanwan. But Yi Wanwan already had quite the reputation, so everybody wasn't too interested in her. Very quickly, everybody's attention turned towards the girl behind her. Everybody's eyes lit up the moment they saw Jiang Yin Ran. Especially the guys. Wow. Look. A beauty. Which class is this beauty from? How come I've never seen her before? Isn't this Jiang Yin Ran from Class A? She's just had a change of hairstyle and clothes. Damn. I must be blind. I didn't expect that Jiang Yin Ran would be so stunning. Her figure's fantastic too. The commotion in the basketball court quickly attracted Shen Mengqi and Song Zihang's attention from the first row, and they turned and looked behind them. Song Zihang only faintly heard someone saying, Jiang Yin Ran, before feeling a sense of revulsion subconsciously. Could it be that this woman hasn't given up on me and is coming over to pester me some more? Song Zihang wrinkled his brows as his gaze followed the crowd. In the next second, he was completely stunned. In front of him was a girl in a bright vintage printed floral dress, the fabric displaying her perfect figure and her brown curls, making her look beautiful and alluring, no longer looking depressingly plain like before. This girl who's so stunning that she's making every guy speechless is Jiang Yin Ran. Song Zihang couldn't believe his own eyes. At this moment, the chattering around them got louder, especially after seeing Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Hey, don't you find Jiang Yin Ran much prettier than Shen Mengqi? Shen Mengqi was certainly a beauty with her appearance, especially with the right makeup and clothes, but compared to the alluring Jiang Yin Ran, she suddenly looked really plain. She's much prettier, definitely. You can't tell usually. To think about it, Jiang Yin Ran comes from a better family than Shen Mengqi. Her father's a famous director, and her mother's a well-known screenwriter, while Shen Mengqi's father used to be a chauffeur for Yi Wanwan. Don't you find Song Zihang silly? Giving up on such a wealthy beauty with a good family, who was so loyal to him for a country bumpkin. All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shen Mengqi's face turned totally pale. Chapter 129. You're the embarrassed one. All these comments naturally reached the ears of Song Zihang and Shen Mengqi. Song Zihang's face darkened while Shen Mengqi's face turned totally pale. How could she accept the fact that one of her sidekicks was actually the center of attention, and even being used to mock her? Jiang Yin Ran normally treated her very well, and even helped her quite a bit, but what she hated most was her arrogant attitude now. Exactly what she hated in Yi Wanwan previously. Just because her father was the Yi family's chauffeur, she had to follow that big missy around like an attendant to please and appease her like she was her ancestor. She was even forced to stay back a year in school with her. Those comments from the people around them were stabbing her in places that hurt the most. The look of surprise in Song Zihang's eyes just now made her expression darken even further. Damn it, why is this completely different from what I imagined? With Jiang Yin Ran's character, after being jilted by Song Zihang recently, How could she be in the mood to doll up and look so radiant? This style of dress also wasn't what she'd usually go for. She knew Jiang Yanran very well, and she would never wear something so flashy. Shen Mengqi couldn't figure out the sudden change in Jiang Yanran. Could it be due to the trauma? She quickly stopped her train of thought and turned to Jiang Yanran with a worried look. Yanran, where did you go the past 2 days? We were looking for you everywhere. You didn't answer our calls, and we didn't see your things in the dorm when we came back. We were all worried sick, afraid that something happened to you. With Shen Mengqi looking like a beauty in tears. If you didn't know better, you'd think that the person jilted and attacked by rumors was her. Jiang Yanran looked at Shen Mengqi's pretense coldly. Thank you so much for caring about me. Yi Wanwan, who was leaning against the seat at the front row, blinked and asked innocently, HM? Mengqi, were you very worried about Yanran? Shen Mengqi was suspicious as to why Yi Wanwan came together with Jiang Yanran, but she didn't think much about it and thought it was a coincidence. She immediately replied hastily, how could I not be worried? Yanran's my best friend too. Yi Wanwan revealed a doubtful look and said softly, oh, you still had the mood to come for a basketball match when you're so worried. Yi Wanwan looked as if she was talking to herself, but her words were loud enough for everyone around them to hear. Shen Mengqi's face changed instantly, and she secretly glared at Yi Wanwan. She hurriedly explained, Wanwan, it's not like that. It's because today's match is so important. I just want. Yi Wanwan interrupted her before she could finish, and she nodded with an understanding look. Me too. I think this match is really important too. I've been waiting for this match for so long. It's such a pity if I didn't watch it. Yi Wanwan's comment seemed harmless, but it was obviously hinting at the crowd. To Shen Mengqi, a match was more important than the life of her so-called best friend. Upon hearing Yi Wanwan's silly comments, everybody around suddenly sniggered and burst out in mocking laughter. I suddenly find Shen Mengqi really fake now. That's right. Acting like she has a deep relationship with her best friend, and looking like she was worried to death when in the end, she's here flirting with Song Zihang. I think she can't wait for Jiang Yanran to die, so that she can cling to this big tree that's Song Zihang. I heard that the Song family will be working with the government on a big project. Their assets will multiply tenfolds instantly. Chapter 130. I won't let you be bullied. Shen Mengqi clenched her fist tightly and called Yi Wanwan an idiot in her heart countless times. A look of hurt appeared on her face as she explained with reddened eyes. It's not like that. I thought that since Yanran likes Captain Song so much and today's match was so important, Yanran might come to the basketball court, so I came to try my luck. Yi Wanwan was fascinated as she listened. She was wrapped in admiration with Shen Mengqi's ability to twist the facts to justify herself. Jiang Yanran lost without injustice. When he saw how hurt and embarrassed Shen Mengqi looked, Song Zihang protected her instantly. Thinking about how the Song family was no longer what it was before, he steeled himself and looked at Jiang Yanran in anger. Jiang Yanran, have you had enough? You were the one who's spoiled and made everybody around you worried. Yet you're still blaming Mengqi now. You think every single person in this world revolves around you, rich princess? TSK, revolves around her? All these years, exactly who was the one revolving around whom? Jiang Yanran looked at how Song Zihang scolded her indignantly to protect Shen Mengqi, and her heart was overwhelmed with sadness. I must have been crazy to think that after so many years of feelings, this man would care about me. Seeing Jiang Yanran biting her lips, Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes and said to Song Zihang, Captain Song, why were you scolding Yanran? Didn't she just thank Mengqi for caring about her? Even if you like Mengqi, you shouldn't be so unfair towards Yanran, right? Even as Mengqi's good friend, I can't tolerate this. This comment by Yi Wanwan successfully created some doubts. Everybody witnessed Jiang Yanran only commenting once from beginning to end while Shen Mengqi was busy acting pitiful, and Song Zihang actually scolded Jiang Yanran out of the blue just for her. I thought that Jiang Yanran was useless, so she got jilted by him. Now I know the reason why. Some people are just too good at acting. When Yi Wanwan finished speaking, she turned to Shen Mengqi and asked, Mengqi, Do you think I'm right? What Captain Song said was too unreasonable. At this moment, Shen Mengqi was so frustrated by Yi Wanwan that she wanted to vomit blood. This damn idiot. Shut up if you don't know how to talk. She's causing trouble for me with every word that comes out from her mouth today, and I have no clue how to speak logically with this idiot. To protect her pure and perfect image, Shen Mengqi could only hold it in. Captain Song, don't blame Yin Ran, it was all my fault. Song Zihang was about to speak, but the match started and his coach was rushing him. Mengqi, I gotta go. Go on then, all the best, Shen Mengqi said shyly. At first, she thought Song Zihang was just an average guy, mostly because Jiang Yin Ran liked him. But according to the news she heard recently, the Song family appeared to be quite a good connection to have. We'll definitely win. I'll give the trophy to you as a gift. After speaking, Song Zihang went to the court with confidence. Everyone who was crowding around to watch the drama went back to their seats as well, and focused on the match. Yi Wanwan and Jiang Yin Ran sat in the empty seats a row behind Shen Mengqi, diagonally across her. Jiang Yin Ran sat on the chair wearily as she murmured, bashing herself. Wanwan, thank you. I suddenly find myself so useless. Yi Wanwan chuckled softly. Girl, you've performed so well today. Your utter lack of regard was the best defense against them. If you kept arguing with them like a resentful woman, that would have been a disaster. Leave it to me to embarrass her. Since I dared to bring you here, I won't let you be bullied. Chapter 131. Your concentration's too weak. Boy, hearing Yi Wanwan's protective tone, there was a warmth in Jiang Yin Ran's heart, and she smiled. This is the first time I realized that you're so cunning. Shen Mengqi doesn't even know that she's been ridiculed, and she actually thought that Yi Wanwan's dumb. Thanks for the praise, hey. Look, Chu Feng. Yi Wanwan's sharp eyes caught the handsome boy walking out from the rest area. All she saw was a boy in a blue and white basketball jersey with naturally wavy, short, dark brown hair, and a headband around his forehead. His exposed muscles were defined and not exaggerated, and his excellent looks were unusually conspicuous amongst the group of boys. Ah, Chu Feng. That's Senior Chu Feng. Senior Chu Feng's so handsome. The juniors from the lower levels couldn't restrain themselves, and were already screaming. Even some girls from Qinghe were screaming. On Jin Xiu's basketball team, Chu Feng wasn't famed for his basketball skills. He was a total amateur at basketball, but he was the most good-looking. However, compared to his normal carefree attitude, Chu Feng's condition today was completely different. The boy's gaze was sharp, and he walked to his team with a serious expression. Since his earnest look was different from usual, it made all the girls scream. Yi Wanwan was about to praise him as well. But then, the boy seemed to be fine, but a split second later, he suddenly staggered and almost fell. Yi Wanwan was sure that the moment Chu Feng fell, he took a glance in Jiang Yin Ran's direction. Your concentration's too weak, boy. Yi Wanwan groaned. You almost fell with just one look. How are you going to play in the match later? The spectators gave a good-natured laugh and cheered. Do your best, Chu Feng. The hunk stumbling was quite cute. Jiang Yin Ran looked at the boy scratching his head awkwardly on the court, his expression somewhat shocked. Although she had already decided to give him a try, with her current state, she really couldn't get into another relationship so quickly. However, when she saw the boy's awkward and embarrassed expression, he didn't seem as repulsive as she thought. Jiang Yin Ran was looking in the direction of Chu Feng, and strangely felt a hot glare upon her, as she met Song Zihang's gaze. Song Zihang was actually looking at me? It must be my imagination. He was probably looking at Shen Mengqi just now. Yi Wanwan noticed that Jiang Yin Ran was looking at Song Zihang, and immediately reminded her. Where are you looking, babe? From now on, your line of vision can only be on Chu Feng. You're not allowed to look at Song Zihang at all. Remember this. Jiang Yin Ran regained her senses and nodded. Yup. From where they were sitting, Yi Wanwan could see Song Zihang's teammates were crowding around him and grinning like they were teasing him. The group of guys turned to look at Shen Mengqi, and Jiang Yin Ran from time to time. Boss, you've got a lot of luck with love. You have two beauties rushing over to cheer you on, and even fighting over you. We're so jealous. You'll have enough even if you give one to me. Seriously speaking, this is the first time I realized that Ms. Jiang was so pretty. Her figure's great too. I think she's on par with Shin Meng-chi. Boss, you really don't want to reconsider? Haha, keep them both, boss. Which man doesn't like the attention of beautiful women? His teammates' comments completely stroked his ego, and even made him find Jiang Yanran more pleasing to the eye. Anyway, Jiang Yanran looked stunning today. Song Zihang had a look of content. Alright, let's not joke around anymore. The match is about to start. We have to win this time. Got it? Got it. Song Zihang, who was busy stirring up his teammates, didn't notice a blazing glare upon him coming from the opposite Jin Xiu team. Chapter 132. Overexcited, the whistle blew, and the match officially started. Yi Wanwan took out the popcorn, Coke, and fried chicken that she prepared from her bag. She ate in delight while watching the match. Her insatiable appetite was one of the biggest reasons why she decided to be a manager instead of an artist. If her diet had to be restrained, if she was refrained from eating this and that, then what's the point in living? She wondered whether the vegetation in Jin Garden had sprouted or not, and wondered what they looked like, along with her chicks, little fish, and little grapes. Yi Wanwan got distracted for a little bit, while the score on the court was already at 11 o'clock. Qing He 11 points, Jin Xiu 0 points. What's happening? Yi Wanwan was shocked. Jiang Yanran shook her head. I'm not sure, Chu Feng doesn't seem to be in good shape today. Yi Wanwan quickly looked towards Chu Feng. She saw that he kept making numerous mistakes, and his footwork was as messy as a drunkard's. He had quite a bit of energy just now. What happened? Being in front of the girl he likes. Shouldn't that give him a burst of power to take down his love rival? This guy. Could it be that he's overexcited? My head hurts. I pinned my hopes on him to take down Song Zihang today. Ah. It's not the wine that intoxicates, but the drinker who gets himself drunk. Ugh, I was wrong. Yen Ran, don't stare at him anymore. When she heard the teasing in Yi Wanwan's voice, Jiang Yanran looked away shyly. However, once Jiang Yanran looked away, his condition worsened. Yi Wanwan was some distance away, but she could hear the rasping voice from the coach of Jin Xiu, who was on the verge of breaking down. Damn you, Mother Chu Feng! You bastard! Did you take the wrong meds today? Playing like some dog shit. Bastard, get over here. I'll talk about life with you. The coach used the entire 2 minutes break during the second half to scold Chu Feng. The boy sunk his head low as he scratched his head. He didn't even dare lift his head to glance at the spectators. Finally, Jin Xiu couldn't recover their losses in the first half, and the match ended at 23:6. Yi Wanwan shut her eyes as she could hardly bear to look. Next was the halftime break of 15 minutes. All the girls from Qinghe cheered and rushed to the court to give the team water and towels, and showered them with concern. While over at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere was gloomy. Damn! What's wrong with Jin Xiu? Why are they playing like that? They were beaten so badly that I couldn't even watch. It can't be helped. Qinghe's basketball team has always been quite strong. But we can't lose so badly, right? What's wrong with Senior Chu Feng today? Is he feeling sick? Unwell my ass. More like his soul was emptied. Yi Wanwan totally didn't foresee that he'd be so lousy. If this carried on, her plan today would be ruined. We can only fight poison with poison now. Yi Wanwan narrowed her eyes. Fight poison with poison? What do you mean? Jiang Yanran didn't understand. Yi Wanwan had no choice but to bring out the bottle of water and a towel from her bag, and stuff them into Jiang Yanran's hands. Send them over to that idiot. Huh? Jiang Yanran was put on the spot. Will this work? Jiang Yanran hadn't imagined that her presence would affect Chu Feng so greatly, and she felt somewhat guilty. Shouldn't I give him some space now? Yi Wanwan sighed. If you leave, he'll be even more devastated. Bring it over. When she told Jiang Yanran to stop looking at Chu Feng, that guy immediately looked like a pet abandoned by his owner. Not only did he not improve in the second half, he even ruined someone else's play. Jiang Yanran had no choice but to nod. All right. Chapter 133. He stole my wife. On the court at this moment, the captain of Jin Xiu placed his arm around Chu Feng and spoke earnestly to tug at his heart. Chu Feng, what's going on with you today? Are you heartbroken? You're the one who's heartbroken. Your whole family's heartbroken. Chu Feng exploded suddenly. The captain was speechless. If you're not heartbroken, then why are you so distracted? Why do you look like a husband who just got dumped? Seeing that Song Zihong was surrounded by a group of beauties, the captain was filled with envy. Damn. As the saying goes, comparisons only cause suffering. Why does Song Zihong have such a good life? After Jiang Yinran came Shin Mingqi. They're all beauties. Look at him, Chu Feng. You're putting your good looks to waste. Although Chu Feng was handsome, he'd never been in a relationship, and he didn't even have a girl he fancied, much less loved. Once he almost thought that he might be gay. The captain was busy mocking him when he noticed something wrong with Chu Feng's expression, especially when he saw Jiang Yinran walking towards Song Zihong. The way Chu Feng stared at Song Zihong was as if he was about to murder him. The captain felt that something wasn't right with him, so he quickly held him back. Buddy, what are you trying to do now? Why do you look so scary? I noticed there's something weird about the way you looked at Song Zihong. Does he owe you money? Chu Feng, he stole my wife. At the same time over at Qinghe's basketball team. Captain Song, you're so awesome. Senior, you're the best. Keep beating Qin Xiu in the next half, and make them look for their teeth all over the place. Zihong, have some water. Shen Mingqi passed a water bottle over. With Song Zihong surrounded by fangirls, Shen Mingqi brought him water and a towel herself, and even switched from calling him Captain Song to Zihong. Song Zihong had never felt so happy before. He was rarely bold enough to hold Shen Mingqi's hand in front of everybody, but he did today. Mingqi, wait till I place the trophy in your hands. If I win today, will you? Song Zihong hadn't finished when someone around him exclaimed towards the nearby spectators. Jiang Yinran. Jiang Yinran's coming as well. Wow, two girls fighting for a guy. This is going to be a good show. Song Zihong's eyes sparkled when he saw the girl's dainty and curvy figure. Actually, Jiang Yinran's not bad as well. Her family background and even appearance don't lose to Shen Mingqi at all. It's just that her personality's too boring. There's no meaning and excitement after a while, but now, at this moment, every player from Qinghe looked at Song Zihong with eyes of envy as they started teasing Jiang Yinran. Hey Missy Jiang, bringing water to boss again? Heh, you even dolled up so prettily just for boss today. Boss is just too good looking. Missy Jiang, you're too stingy. Why do you only bring one bottle? What about us? Usually, Jiang Yinran was too nice to the basketball team and invested quite a bit of money in them, causing these people to take her for granted. Naturally, Shen Mingqi noticed the way that Song Zihong was looking at Jiang Yinran. She gritted her teeth but walked over in a calm and friendly manner. Yinran, you're here. I wanted to call you along just now, but was afraid that you were still mad at me. Hurry and come over, we're all waiting for you. Chapter 134. Where is this place? Who am I? Song Zihong glanced at Shen Mingqi, obviously very happy with her. Only this kind of generous and sensible woman is suitable to be with me in the future, but the jealous type like Jiang Yinran can look quite cute at times. Song Zihong also realized that he was too harsh towards her before, so he walked to Jiang Yinran voluntarily, looking friendlier, but he still spoke with an air of superiority. Yinran, I know how you feel towards me, but we can't force love. The way you harassed me in the past made me very uncomfortable, but we've known each other for such a long time. So as long as you don't do such drastic things next time and stop hurting Mingqi, we can still be friends. Jiang Yinran stood expressionless in front of Shen Mingqi and Song Zihong, and she spoke in an annoyed tone. A good dog doesn't block the way. Could you please make way? Both Shen Mingqi and Song Zihong froze. Jiang Yinran didn't care about either of them, and simply turned away. She continued walking forward with the bottle of water in her hand. Seeing this, the people around them were stunned, and they looked at one another speechless. Where's Jiang Yinran heading to? Maybe she wasn't looking for Song Zihong? Who else could she be looking for other than Song Zihang? Isn't she headed towards Jin Xiu's basketball team? Under the gaze of countless curious people, Jiang Yanran walked towards Jin Xiu's basketball team. Not only the people from Qinghe but all the dejected basketball players from Jin Xiu were dumbfounded, seeing a pretty girl walking in their direction. Wah! A pretty girl? Whose girl is this? I'm not sure. She looks like a girl from Qinghe. One of the guys with blonde hair pushed through the crowd and walked up to Jiang Yanran gallantly. Who are you looking for, beauty? Isn't that Jiang Yanran? What's she doing here? The basketball captain, who was still counseling Chu Feng, mumbled suspiciously. The moment things quieted down, everyone could hear Jiang Yanran's response. I'm looking for Chu Feng. Chu Feng? Who? Chu Feng. The captain turned to Chu Feng in shock, and Chu Feng's expression was totally blank. His ears turned red, and his breath was racing like he had just run 3 kilometers. The boy with blonde hair was instantly disappointed when he heard her reply. No way. She's actually looking for Chu Feng, the cancer in our team. Ouch, who kicked me? He was kicked by Chu Feng behind him immediately after he finished speaking. Chu Feng was so nervous that he nearly moved forward with the same arm and leg, and even pretended to be calm and strong as he walked towards Jiang Yanran. Yanran, are you looking for me? Jiang Yanran nodded. What's the matter? Chu Feng thought he was finished. It must be due to his bad performance, just now, that he has to die now before gaining victory. After some time, just as Chu Feng had filled up his brain with the word dead 100 times, Jiang Yanran passed the bottle of water to him. For you. Chu Feng was speechless. It was as if he'd been transported from the dead of winter to spring when the flowers were blooming. The boy took the bottle of water, like he was accepting the imperial seal of China. He was overwhelmed with emotions. Thank you. After Jiang Yanran gave him the water, she glanced at the spectator stand subconsciously and saw that Yi Wanwan was mouthing exaggeratedly to remind her to move on to the next step. Jiang Yanran didn't have a choice. She thought about how she was partly responsible for him playing so badly today, so she followed whatever Yi Wanwan told her to do. Jiang Yanran lifted the white towel in her hands and gently wiped the sweat on the boy's forehead, and then said, Do your best. Chu Feng. Who am I? Where is this place? Why are there so many little flowers in front of me? Chapter 135. You'll find out very soon. All of a sudden, all the boys from Jin Xiu started howling with excitement. Ow. Damn. Chu Feng, have you been hiding her? So you've been acting so weird today not because you're heartbroken, but because you're in love and couldn't get your girlfriend off your mind. No wonder this guy kept looking at the spectators stand just now. Girl, don't be fooled by this guy's looks. Everybody shut up. Chu Feng stared at those people furiously. I'm going to head back now, my friend's still waiting for me, Jiang Yanran said. Chu Feng was reluctant and asked nervously. Then, I'll see you later? MHM. Jiang Yanran nodded. Hearing this Chu Feng's heart finally returned to his body after looping around the earth once. She remembered. Tonight's date is still on. Compared to the noise and teasing at Jin Xiu, the atmosphere over at Qinghe was eerily quiet. Almost everybody's gaze was on Song Zihang. After all, he still flattered himself and thought that Jiang Yanran was looking for him just then. In the end, she was actually looking for Chu Feng. Wow, this is so juicy. Jiang Yanran and Chu Feng? Since when did the two of them know each other? Although this is a shock, I think they're pretty compatible. This is my first time seeing Chu Feng so shy. Haha, too cute. They're definitely compatible. Anyway, they both come from families of equal status. I heard that Chu Feng comes from a good family too. I thought that once Jiang Yanran was dumped, she wouldn't be able to get up. Who knew that she would find someone else in a flash? You guys were worried about nothing. With Jiang Yanran's qualities, when has she been unable to get what she wants? As for Song Zihang, I think he's blind. Song Zihang watched as Jiang Yanran brought water for the other boy, and even helped him wipe his sweat off affectionately. He was so mad that his face turned black. The discussion swirling around him made his face turn even uglier. When Jiang Yanran walked past them, Song Ziheng strode over and stopped her. Jiang Yanran, what's the meaning of this? This damned woman. She actually dared to embarrass me in front of so many people. What? Jiang Yanran frowned. At this moment, Song Ziheng's face was so gloomy to the point where it looked threatening. TSK, you said you like me, but all of a sudden, you're together with that gigolo from the next school. Don't tell me you were flirting around with him before you confessed to me? Jiang Yanran let out a cold laugh. So what if I did? So what if I didn't? What has who I like and flirt with got to do with you? PFF, the people around started laughing. After all, what Jiang Yanran said made sense. Both of them had nothing to do with each other from the start. Wasn't that what a certain someone said previously when he tried to defend Shen Mengqi's honor? Song Ziheng was so furious that he almost lost his mind, and he blurted out without thinking, "Don't forget that we were engaged, but you actually went behind my back." Engaged? When were we engaged? We. Song Ziheng was about to retort back, but after looking at Shen Mengqi, he suddenly shut his mouth. After all, he had just recently made a post stating that he had nothing to do with Jiang Yanran, and that the engagement didn't exist. If he admitted there was one, wouldn't he be shooting himself in the foot? Jiang Yanran, think of the consequences of your actions. Song Ziheng suppressed the fire in his stomach forcefully. Consequences? You'll find out very soon. Jiang Yanran grinned and left without looking back. Chapter 136. Did you drink chicken's blood? After she returned to her seat, Jiang Yanran almost collapsed. Yi Wanwan had a gratified expression on her face, as if her daughter had just grown up. Awesome. You were great. Thanks, it's because you've taught me well. Jiang Yanran smiled bitterly. She was surprised too. She didn't expect that one day she'd be able to speak to Song Ziheng with this tone and attitude. Shortly after, the 15-minute break ended, and the next half of the match started. The whistle blew, and the atmosphere in the court was suddenly tense. Everyone noticed that the atmosphere in this half of the match was different. The smell of smoke was stronger, and there were sparks of anger everywhere. Song Ziheng glanced at Chu Feng scornfully. His teammate next to him gave a disdainful expression as well. He just has more stinking money at home, right? What a useless bum. That's right. He plays like shit. And still dares to snatch a girl from our boss. Chu Feng didn't care about those people mocking him. He looked at his teammates and said, "Later on, all of you should pass the ball to me." The guy with blonde hair wailed. "Then won't we be getting a big fat zero? If we lose, I'll treat the team for an entire month." Damn, an entire month. Grab hold of the tyrant's big golden thigh one. You said it yourself. Everyone, remember to pass him the ball later. Haha, no problem. Very soon, everybody started running at top speed on the court. The captain of Jin Xiu snatched the ball from the forward player from Qing He and threw it over to Chu Feng swiftly. He was really afraid that Chu Feng would miss it again, but thankfully, he caught it this time. But then, Qing He's players advanced on Chu Feng, and he was forced to the edge of the three-point line. Song Ziheng sniggered and went to snatch the ball from Chu Feng while his teammates guarded him. Once he had the ball, he'd definitely get it in. However, just as he was about to grab the ball, Chu Feng took a step back and tossed the ball as hard as he could. Everybody's eyes followed the ball, and after a few seconds, wow, it went in. A three-point shot. The entire court roared in cheers. It had only been 3 minutes since the match started, and they actually scored. Not to mention it was a three-pointer. Everybody was caught off guard. They didn't even manage to see what Chu Feng did as everything happened in a flash. Beautiful. Senior Chu Feng's awesome. He was lucky. What's there to be happy about? The players of Qing He spat. There was a 17-point gap from the previous half, so they weren't worried at all. But from that point onwards, they couldn't be so relaxed anymore. Everybody on the Jin Xiu basketball team passed the ball over to Chu Feng, and like a totally different person, Chu Feng didn't miss a single shot. As long as he got the ball, it went in every time. It was as if his accuracy was due to the basketball hoop sucking up every ball he shot. Towards the end, Qing He was beaten to the point where they didn't have the energy to retaliate. The spectators were stunned. They realized only then that Chu Feng actually had a hidden talent. The captain of the Jinxiu basketball team put his arm around Chu Feng's neck excitedly. "Goddamn bastard. Did you drink chicken's blood instead of water just now?" Chu Feng looked towards the spectator stand. "What do you know? It was the water from Yin Ran. Immortal water." In the blink of an eye, the current score was 0-17. Qing He didn't get a single point. With such a big gap, their scores had already tied, and only half the time had passed in the second half of the game. Chapter 137. Big Brother's Gift. However, this was just the beginning. In the next half, Jinxiu continued to splendidly thrash the other team, almost entirely due to Chu Feng alone. The screams coming from girls cheering Chu Feng almost broke through the roof. There was only a minute left until the end of the match. The current score was a scary 0-24. Qing He still hadn't scored a single point while Jinxiu had already overtaken Qing He by 7 points. It was impossible to score 7 points within a minute. Qing He was definitely going to lose. On the court, everybody was celebrating Jinxiu's victory. Certainly, at the final moment, the ball landed in Chu Feng's hands again. Qing He's players were totally beaten down and had completely given up struggling. "Stop him!" Song Zihang yelled in anger. Even if he was going to lose, he couldn't lose with 0 points. He, Song Zihang, couldn't lose face to this guy. Everybody didn't have a choice but to pick themselves up and try to stop Chu Feng. Under the gaze of every spectator and player from Qing He, Chu Feng spun the ball in his hands leisurely and did a sudden move that nobody expected. He changed his direction unexpectedly, ran towards the basketball hoop of his own team and scored. The whistle blew, and it was the end of the match. Qing He's team got 2 points. Under the astonished gaze of everyone, Chu Feng walked to Song Zihang casually and said, "These 2 points are Big Brother's gift to you. You're welcome." His own shot that Chu Feng threw into his own hoop on purpose gave Song Zihang 2 points. "You." Being ridiculed in front of so many people, Song Zihang's face contorted with anger, and he almost stormed over, but was stopped by his teammates. After a moment of silence, there were cheers from the entire court. "Whoa! Senior Chu Feng's amazing." At the end, the scores for the second half of the match were 2-24. Qing He and Jinxiu's final scores were 25-30. Even with such a big difference in points during the first half of the game, Jinxiu caught up in the second half and won the entire match. At the spectator stand, Yi Wanwan heaved a sigh of relief. "That's more like it. At least your big sister didn't help you in vain." It was obvious that Chu Feng took revenge for Jiang Yin Ran on that final shot. Yi Wanwan turned to Jiang Yin Ran. "What do you think? Are you happy?" Jiang Yin Ran nodded. It was undeniable. The wind did let off some of her steam. On the court, Chu Feng was being thrown in the air by his excited teammates. There was a huge grin on his face. After he was let down, Chu Feng seemed to discuss something with his teammates. After that, he walked towards Jiang Yin Ran with the trophy. Standing right in front of Jiang Yin Ran, Chu Feng was at a loss once again. This is for you." Jiang Yin Ran was taken aback. "For me? But this trophy belongs to the entire team, and anyway, I don't really have a use for this." "Ah, you don't like it? I thought all of you girls would like this, but yeah, there isn't much use to this thing, sorry." Chu Feng's hung his head low instantly. Yi Wanwan smiled and shot a look at Jiang Yin Ran. "How is it useless? It's for memory's sake. There are some people who wanted it but couldn't get it." Song Zihang glared ferociously at Jiang Yin Ran and Chu Feng, kicked the chair next to him, and left in a fit. After Jiang Yin Ran heard that, she looked at how disappointed Chu Feng was, and recalled how hard he fought on the court to help her get back at Song Zihang. Finally, her heart softened. "Well, thank you." Chu Feng instantly lit up like a flower blossoming in spring, and he looked at Yi Wanwan like she was Jesus. Yi Wanwan was speechless with the way he stared at her, like a little deer with a pair of tearful, grateful eyes. She stood up. "The match is over. I won't intrude on the both of you anymore. I'm heading back to the dorm." You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.